For most of us, the story of Venom Crest begins on the 24th of January 2024, when they played against Lumbus Lightside in both teams' first ever game in the NLC Div 1. And if you want to start there, I think that's fine. They've had a compelling narrative from that point, reaching playoffs in their first ever NLC Div 1 split. But I think if you ignore the history, if you ignore what's come before, you're missing out on something pretty special. Venom Crest was founded in July of 2021 by Jack Ace Doe, a guy who'd managed a few teams across the UK and in the Prime League as well, but it got to a point where he wanted to take a little bit more ownership of the teams that he'd built and have a bit more of a stake in their success. At this point, NLC playoffs were a world away. The goal for Venom Crest was to put together a strong roster to compete in the upcoming UKL qualifiers to get their first foot on the ladder of UK and Nordic League of Legends. And it was on the 17th of August, just one day after finalising the roster for those qualifiers, that Jack opened Twitter and he saw decisions from up above restructuring the NLC had trickled down and forced the hand of the UKEL, causing them to postpone indefinitely and eventually cancel their promotion relegation tournaments and the open qualifiers that Venom Crest had finalised their roster for not less than 24 hours ago. If I'd put time and effort into building something here, it would be crushing to find out about this after months of planning on a project I'd really put my heart and soul into. It would have been easy to call it quits at this point, a victim of the sort of thing that just happens in esports. But Venom Crest persisted, building a team in Plat Leagues whilst they rebuilt and re-energized for the upcoming calibration tournament, securing a spot in NLC Div 4 and through a merger with Hyperion, getting a spot in Div 3 as well. Truth be told, in 2022, in Div 3, Venom Crest struggled. In spring and summer, they were only one game loss away from falling down into the relegation spots. And to be honest, this didn't look like a team that was really going anywhere.
In December of that year, I was approached by Rate Gaming, Nicholas Damskand. He was just like, yeah, we have a Division 2 spot. We're looking to hand it off to someone. I was worried that if I took the step but didn't go serious, we'd just sit middle of the table, which I hate. If you're doing something, just full commit to it. There was a switch that clicked in my head. I was just like, nice. If we're gonna do this, if we're gonna go to 2, the goal is Div 1.
And credit to them, Venom Crest came out of the gate swinging in spring, only dropping a single series to end up second place in the regular split before a minor collapse in playoffs led to them falling down to 4th position. But if anything, that just made what Venom Crest needed to do in summer more clear.
We have to win summer, because that's the only way, with a 4th place finish, that we go back into promotions.
Kind of to retrieve Aquino! What is he doing? Just rushes straight forward!
Any significant damage down, but the flash ultimate from the cannon getting so many members.
Now they don't have anything else to engage with. And Modlishka with the picture perfect Nico ultimate.
Moving on to touch here, Owl will try to push back one. He gets one touch when he engages, gets the triple knockup. Pop Blossom goes in, gets 2, and they're one shot immediately.
Still undefeated throughout the summer are Venom Crest as they head straight into the semifinals.
6 hours are gone, and Venom Crest heading into grand finals still undefeated. Venom Crest They are furious and they are victorious.
The promotion tournament was scheduled for 3 weeks after the end of playoffs, and a team that had laughed and joked their way to a 27-1 record over the course of the split lost all of that momentum. The first series versus divisional rivals Linvis Lightside was an absolute disaster, with Venom Crest falling down 3-1 in the series to put themselves in a do-or-die best-of-5 versus Unique for the last Div 1 spot.
Knocks up onto Kiro. He's very low HP. Knock up scatter coming down. So many people clustered. One and together. Oh, he's made his play. Melee Panda, huge. Rusty Sniper dead. This is the fight that they needed. And here we have it. 2 new teams will be joining us next year on the NLC as Venom Crest knock out Unique.
My personal thing was just like, okay, we're in Div 1 now. Let's do our best to stay here. I was in survival mode. We got a manager and coach duo to come on. So we have Uko, who's our manager, and Godo, who's the coach. We went from, because I explained the product, the budget we were working with and the fact that we're just kind of aiming to survive spring. And he was just like, okay, I understand that's what you want, but I want to win.
Now Tempt is in danger, flashes himself, and tries to stay out of safety! Death from below! X marks the spot, and they do make it work as a bit of a skirmish turns up in mid lane.
Start playing Venom Crest style, and the drafts shifted a little bit, and it just worked.
Tempt trying to find somewhere to run, gets the shield, stays alive. Pashi looking to go forward, has got to death from below, and Painful's still not dead! What is karma? A double kill for Pike!
Yeah, when we started winning, there was a lot of screaming going on.
Oh, Tempt, there's just nowhere to be. That's so brutal. It's going to love having more movement speed to start running at people. Above us, below, and below 6 feet is where Kasing finds himself.
I mean, I know in the management chat, we were all just like spamming, oh my god, this is amazing.
Here he comes, they're going on in, trying to find an angle in. Big man, Lenny! Tries to find some time, but Lenny with a feint sealed that might just do it for the game. A double kill for Pashi. Pike drags them all into the dark, dark waters. Venom Crest say no, sink their fangs into the lions, and go to 3-1.
Venom Crest had completely thrown out the script. After a 2-1 start, they completely dismantled what was meant to be the best team in the league.
Venom Crest continue to surprise and surpass every expectation.
Congrats to Venom Crest. Good job. Amazing. You made them suffer. Go have a kebab on me.
Venom Crest has been so surprising. For me, probably the most surprising team.
And the thing is, Venom Crest weren't done. If the first 2 weeks were defined by Zubak and Pashi, then their next game up against Nord showed just how good Lenny and Painful could be.
He's trying to get that level 6. Will he be able to? Can he knock him underneath the turret? Will the Church beat that? Not close. Quite. Might still find the 1v1.
He's probably, honestly, pretty soon they'll be coming back up. And with Nile being able to constantly push Lenny down.
Oh, Lenny!
He's dead again.
Hey, this is Nile he's doing it too, by the way. They want all the smoke in this one, and they're gonna get it. Roshan being the target. Painful takes him down before he himself loses too much HP and Merps. How did he end up in the front line? Taken down by Deadhound. The Herald charge comes through. They charge beneath the turret. Devoured there by the Catfish. Now instead it's Roshan who tastes the fate of the belly from Deadhound. This is an absolute slaughter. They could just auto-attack from here on out and they would never die as Nord just can't cut through the HP bars. It is Venom Crest out of all teams at the end of the day who sit atop the NLC.
This style of strong solo laners with a very aggressive jungle support duo propelled Venom Crest to 5-2 at the end of the first round robin, tying them for first in a league where no one gave them a chance pre-split. Venom Crest kept up winning ways going into the second round robin, and even started to give more opportunities to Deadhound, the team's glue guy, to carry for himself.
The Raptors.
Romeo potentially going to get caught. Wait, Merz is so damn low!
Forcing a fight in the bottom lane. The ignites the first bloke for Smolder. Looking down Marshy for the shot, but the dance is way too big. Flash forward from Deadhound. Needs to be the carry, and he is. And ult's going to be invested. Painful, able to dash over the wall, and Venom Crest, they've peeled away from the Baron, but they turn on two Mervs.
They're trying to find the catch.
Painful getting a pick down onto Roshan. Caught out in the front line of Painful. Goes right for the back and breaks the backs of Lord. Deadhound rampaging forward. It's over. It's done. You're out of here, Dawn. Venom Crest are here to play. They took you at all time and they beat you at your own game. It was a bittersweet end to the split for Venom Crest. Going 0-2 in their final week to finish with an 8-6 record and dropping down to 3rd place. The first time they've been outside the top 2 since the split began. But honestly, I don't think they really cared.
The moment we lost to Ruddy, it was a dark few, it was dark like 10 minutes, but I was just like, okay, I'm gonna go walk my dog. And on that walk, first I was like, oh, I can't believe we're not top 2. We got 3rd. And then I was like, wait on a second, did we just come 3rd in NLC Division 1? What just happened? Did we actually just get 3rd? That's amazing. So I went onto my phone, recorded a little video for the lads, and it was pretty much just summed up saying, it's fine to be annoyed about the loss today, that's perfectly normal, but you guys do have to realize we've just come 3rd when no one thought we would come in top 4 or even contest these top spots. Be annoyed for the next few minutes, but then over the next few days really realize how much work you've put in and really how much you guys just fucking nailed it this season. Just so immensely proud of them. We came 3rd. That's insane. I was thinking in November, oh my god, I hope we come like 6th and get a few championship points. And here they are, breaking my expectations when we went into Division 1, breaking the casters, the other teams. I don't think anyone saw us coming.
At SteelSeries, we make the headsets, mice, and keyboards that the world's best gamers win the most with. And we've been doing it since way back. It's up to you how far you go, but whatever you do, go for glory.
Tries to find some time for Lenny with a fake seal that might just do it for the game. A double kill for Passy. Pike drags them all into the dark, dark waters. And it's all but over for the crying. Johan runs away.
A little bit of time being bought, but it's not going to be enough, surely. Flashes away, gets on out of there, will burn down eventually, but Agony Pain goes forward and gets taken down. Ruddy are doing it. They find an ace. Mountain Soul for Ruddy, and here comes the Ezreal. Tarek has already been able to take out the enemy support, but the damage from Ruddy is too much. Silky smash through the left line side. There's too many people here for you to handle. Before Romeo finds the re-engage into the multi-man counter-strike. The shockwave, too little, too late for light side as it's a double for Nile.
Take it down! He slides through them all! They've got Ragnar! It is all on Thames! Are you kidding me?
Second day of playoffs for the Northern League of Legends Championship Spring Split 2024 playoffs. It's time to see Ruddy versus Venom Crest. It is the Miracle Run versus the Redemption Arc. And we'll move it on as we introduce the desk for today. I have the pleasure to announce someone who actually took a bath today, Middlecott, and the Genius veteran.
It was a shower, but go on then. Yes, I have washed.
It's something.
I'm clean. I'm ready and primed to hopefully get 5 games of excellent League of Legends.
It's really good to open with
you
that
doing,
because
veteran?
Venom Crest need a clean win if they're going to get one at all. But, you know, Middlecott, he's entered the bath and he's come out with a similar prediction to everyone else, I'm pretty sure, but we'll get into that.
Yeah, we'll talk about predictions later on as we need to toss it to the casters to understand who's going to be screaming at the game and who's going to actually bring information. On the screaming part, it is initialized. Oh gosh, actually.
League of Legends!
Woo! That's is the audition over? Have I got the job? Have I got the job? Yeah, phew, that's great.
How are we feeling about today's games?
Really excited. I think we have been blessed with an exceptional series. I mean, the storylines alone, Ruddy with the miracle run from looking like they were completely out for the count, Venom Crest coming into the split with no expectations at all and looking like one of the best in the league. I mean, I just couldn't really be asking for more here. I'm very excited to be on the cast for this one.
Yeah, me and Sam moved into the green room quickly, and we both went, 5 games? 5 games? Sounds good.
Yeah.
And that's about it.
Oh. Okay, I love it. So let's toss it back to the desk. We have much to debate today, as we need to understand what is the series today. It is going to be Venom Crest versus Ruddy. It is the Miracle Run, as we said before, and Venom Crest are looking for the Redemption Arc. And this has been a tough one for them, but it's going to be interesting. We have no photos from Ruddy. They don't show up. We only know the coach, the manager, and Jake. Are they even real players by this? I don't know anymore.
Bro, for the second half of the split, I think they've definitely been showing up, all right? In fact, their moves have been so smooth and clean. They've been able to duck and dive every single photographer we've sent to try to cover them. No one's been able to quite uncover the identity of Ruddy, and Venom Crest do need to do that today because Ruddy definitely have their number. They gave a really good shot in their last game against them in the split, but they weren't quite able to close it out in the last half. Which appears to be the story of the entire league against this team.
I love this one. But before we head on to the cities of today, I would like to highlight Rookie of the Split. So this is quite important. Everybody has been voting, everybody has been bringing it up. So I'd like to see what we're going to show everybody for the Rookie of the Split. Wait! Oh!
Really? I mean, great.
What do you mean? Really?
Wow,
No. Right. Okay. I can't have anyone besmirch the name of Lenny. This guy has been absolutely exceptional as soon as he came into the league. He was getting solo kills left, right, and center, and I think we've been blessed with a few decent resident top laners in the NLC, but this French guy's come over and he's instantly been performing at the level of the likes of Banderas and Nile, so I think massively deserved Rookie of the Split for him.
Top's
We'll
also
see
been a
him playing
very
today.
competitive
Yeah,
role.
tell me.
Oh, so I was just going to say, Top's also being a very, very competitive role. Like Banderas, Nile, the two that you just mentioned have been phenomenal. It's probably the hardest role to break into in the NLC right now. And yeah, I mean, Lenny's done a really, really good job of it. Like if you look at other roles, there are a lot of rookies down there, but this is one where a bunch of veterans have been there and Lenny is still being able to stand out.
You know what? I have something planned for both of you today regarding that situation, information and players as well. Let's play a game of Guess Who? Players Edition. So what I'm gonna give you is some sort of a hint, a clue, and you have to tell me which player this is. You'll raise your hand, you'll get to actually answer first, but since Veteran is playing, the person who fails, the other one actually has an opportunity to answer.
Only I figured this out. Oh, come on.
I have to adapt things. So let's toss it up with the first one. First clue for you is, I only played 2 champions more than once this split. Middle cut.
That is Deadhound.
My gosh, that's actually 5 points for you.
Bro, I was doing my research. This guy's got a champion ocean.
Wow, okay. I had more things because he has been the one dying the most for First Blood. 14%, by the way. And he's Danish. That was the third one. Duckling actually likes me. So Deadhound, 5 points for you. I was not expecting this one. That was fast. Second individual, I have the best Akali game in the league with 12 kills and 0 deaths. Veteran.
I want to say Tempt. I feel like he's too volatile to end up with 0 deaths. And then, I mean, there's one other name it could be, but it'd have to be in the second half, and I feel like I'd insta remember it. That is difficult.
Miss Veteran is going to miss the first one. Minocott, do you want to take a shot before I reveal the second one?
I reckon it's Varshi.
Oh, my man. You would get 10 points if that was correct, but it's not. Second clue. I have the best average kills and average deaths on my roll. So he kills a lot, but he dies a lot.
Average kills and average deaths?
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm good at killing, but dying as well.
Did Rusty Sniper have an Akali game that I missed or something? Like,
we've moved on, Middle Cult. We've moved on. Wow.
Wait, is this a different?
No, it's the same individual as the first clue.
Okay.
The best Akali game and the best average kills and average deaths.
Wait,
yes,
Alex?
Veteran. Alex, indeed. So you get 3 points because it's on the second one. The third clue would be, they call me a madman, but I'm the MVP in most games. So that's the one. Alex, third and last question. This is a fast game, just to test your knowledge. My Senna has a 100% win rate. So this is a sneaky one. Because supports play Senna as well.
They do.
They do.
Yes, sir.
Play.
Wow, that's... Wow. You want to expand on your statement there?
I'm just watching the show.
I don't know, I'm just talking about teamfight positioning, man. Like, if you've been playing ADC for 5 years, I think you're going to do it a little bit better than someone who doesn't know what CSing is. Like...
Wow.
Oh boy. Do you want to take a gamble or do you want to flame
no,
the support role?
No, because it's going to be a support now and I'm going to look really stupid.
Yeah, it's going to be. I'm anticipating.
So should I give you the second one?
Or you've just baited us by pretending that it's not an AD carry, because that is exactly the sort of thing that you do.
Yeah, I mean, okay. Can I take a guess?
Yes.
Is it Silky Smith?
My man! 5 points for you, Veteran. It is Silky Smith. The second one would be, I love to play Varus, but I shouldn't. Because he has a 20%.
It's like
win
1 in
rate
4.
when he-
Wow.
Yeah, that would be the
second one would have been harsh.
Wait, so
So
it was an
imagine-
AD carry, and you just...
Yes, he was trying to bait us. He was trying to bait us.
How can you still trust me? Like,
But that
all of
almost
this.
baited me, by the way. That actually did almost bait me. Like, until Middlecop pointed out, I was like, yeah, I mean, I guess Archon could be that sneaky. So...
That's the game. That's why I was saying, like, I would love to play this game with both of you because both of you have a really good knowledge of the players. So yeah, next time I'll even go further beyond with more players and more clues.
Deadtown one was
By the way,
impressive, though. Just instant.
I didn't say anything, but this would be a game about Venom Crest and ready players alone. But I thought you would get it at the end of the day. Yeah, you thought about the entire league, but I wanted to make it a little bit shorter. So, moving on to something that is actually really hard for everyone. I know you guys have the best knowledge on players, but what about predictions? Because you need to know who predicted
this
what
guy's-
today.
Oh, right, yeah. I mean, well,
There's
hopefully
a
we're as
split.
equally good as each other, you know? Hopefully. Good taste, Middlecop, good taste.
No,
Well, I like this.
I was just feeling ready. I was just feeling ready today.
We'll feel a bit ruddy sometimes.
Oh, we do. It's because I've had chats with Ace, the owner for Venom Crest, and Jake, obviously the owner of Ruddy. Very different vibes coming from them. It felt like Venom Crest are kind of happy to be here, but Ruddy have been burnt so much in the first series of playoffs that they just need to get a win, and I think they've got a little bit more of that hunger. But I mean, blimey, yesterday did absolute wonders for me in the leaderboard.
I dislike this so much. I can't deal with this. Initialize. I'm coming for you. I'll just say, I know where you live. But that was a good idea, by the way. Initialize, give double points or remove double the points. That was such a good idea for you, by the way. So this is the leaderboard. But you back at home, you might be able to win something as well, by the way. Focus.
He's back. He's back.
Can you hear me now with good sounds? No, you cannot because your headset kinda sucks. So head on to Twitter and predict it up. It's cool, it's like the battery lasts all night. And you can chat while you cook cause it has Bluetooth. So let me introduce Still City's Arctic Nova 7. It's wireless. Still City's Arctic Nova 7. It has Bluetooth. Still City's Arctic Nova 7. It's wireless. Still City's Arctic Nova 7. So head on to Twitter and predict so you can win one of these bad guys if you're the best that week. So please don't waste any time.
So do your best. Head out to Twitter, put in your predictions so you may win one of these bad boys we're using right now. It is amazing.
Did that always have a jingle on it? I don't seem to remember that always having a jingle on it.
It didn't. It may have been made up like a few minutes before the show. We don't know.
We can never know.
What we do know is today we're going to watch Ruddy versus Venom Crest, and this is an amazing matchup, and we need to understand how good it is, because on one side it's the Miracle Run, and the other side is the Redemption Arc. I think the Redemption Arc is really important because they were so strong at the beginning of the split, and everybody was saying, hey, they might even end in first place, but all of a sudden, poof.
Yeah, and I think we need to contextualize this redemption arc with how crazy that Venom Crest can even be on a redemption arc. Like, this team came in with no expectations at all coming into the split. They're aiming for 6th at best, but they look so strong for the first round robin, and then it feels like teams started to figure them out a little bit. We saw Zubak not necessarily playing as well, moving away from stuff like the Viego, starting to play a little bit more of the Ivan, but I think that the synergy which propelled this team to such high heights at the start of the split is still there, and I'm really intrigued to see how they fare in a best of 5 as well, because a lot of rookies on these roster, a lot of people that aren't necessarily accustomed to this sort of environment, and so the coaching staff is going to have a real tough task on their hands to get these guys into that winning position game after game after game.
Yep, and I really do like the playstyle that they came in with, right? They were a very, very pick-heavy team. And that was very good when the league wasn't necessarily full of teams that had figured out their identity. Venom Crest were really early starters in that regard. And when you're uncoordinated and you're going into a Viego Pike combo, a Belveth, all of this stuff, you can be very, very vulnerable if you don't know what you're doing. But as teams have gotten better and they've filled up their own identity, those holes that Venom Crest have been able to exploit haven't necessarily been there. And that's caused them to have to adapt themselves. The whole league, you could argue, had to adapt to Venom Crest first, and now Venom Crest have to do so in kind. They are a ridiculously important part of why this league is going to look competitive at all once we get towards the EU Masters, because the whole league had to respond to this team coming out of nowhere with their identity saying, this is the way we're going to do things, you guys need to step your game up, or we are actually going to run away with this league.
When you look into the other side and you put them face to face as well, we got some curious numbers because Venom Crest are still in a really good position in terms of numbers when you put them face to face, and Ruddy are still adapting, but the First Blood, that is menacing.
Yeah, absolutely, and it almost goes against the grain of the style that we've been seeing emerging from these teams. I think Ruddy have shown themselves to be much more patient throughout the second round robin, a lot less willing to overstep and go for these aggressive plays, which got punished so heavily the first few times we saw them come out. So whilst that goal difference at 15 is looking pretty heavily in Venom Crest's favor, I would say that Ruddy are still a team that can definitely get something out of this series, because they have developed so much over the course of the split and really grown into the split, whereas Venom Crest maybe have faltered a little.
Yeah, and there you also see the big worry for Venom Crest, because Venom Crest have typically been really, really good at accelerating games and avoiding the point where they do have to go into these teamfight scenarios, whereas Ruddy are right now the kings of stalling. Nord time is a thing of the past, Ruddy time is now and forever, and they really do make it last a while until your pick composition doesn't have any kind of squishy champion, that doesn't have any sort of counterplay like Zhonya's, like GA, like any of this, or even just really good map setups from Ruddy have been able to force these teamfight scenarios where Ruddy are just favored.
So let's bring it up into the players. When you look into the jungle, there's such a big difference, but let's look into the mid lane for now. Painful and Alex to begin with. On one side, you have the Demon. On the other side, someone more, a little bit more inside of his own box. I'm going to farm, I'm going to be available for the team, but I'm not going the extra mile with Irelia by dying and killing, dying and killing, and dying and killing. Alex is such a big, important weapon, isn't he?
That game, like I feel like that game just sort of summarized the archetype that we've built around Alex as a player who can have incredibly high highs, but also some pretty low lows. And you're sort of seeing that reflected in the numbers there, really high damage share, really high DPM. This is a guy who knows how to carry incredibly well, but when I look at Painful, I think of someone who is significantly more stable while still being able to operate at a high level. He's had some clutch moments himself. So he got a 3-man Yone out in the game versus Nord, which sort of solidified Venom Crest's position in the playoffs. And I think whilst we do talk about Alex in these very superlative terms, Painful is absolutely there and can contest this guy if he makes a single overstep.
I'm also not entirely sure the stats are doing Alex justice here, because the reason that I was sketch on whether I say about the Akali going 12-0 right in that one game that you had in your quiz was because early season Alex definitely wouldn't do that, but post-Z Alex would be able to do that. I actually think that now he is an extremely consistent player. He's no longer that guy that is just going, 08 on Irelia is going to end up winning you the game overall, because that's been the guy that he has been ever since he was playing over in PG Nats. But now he is definitely a controlled, focused individual who knows his limits and will not blow up the map state for his team. In fact, he is instrumental in stalling out that map state and in playing these long lanes out in a very consistent and prepared manner. I think the idea of Alex as just this all-in, all-the-time guy is a thing of the past, and he's one of the most significantly developed players over the course of the entire split.
As we go into the champion select, and we start seeing the bans, the usual. Keep in mind that Hound in Silky's Math matchup. That is also a really important one. We'll dive in as we go in the series. I think they need their own time. So maybe between game 1 and game 2, where we can get a glimpse of what they can bring today. Let's look into the champion select. So far, not a big surprise yet. The focus is as we thought it would be. But mid lane, should we see any bans for the mid lane? Because AD carry, Smolder, Senna are available.
I'm thinking the champion pools for Painful and Alex are broad enough in terms of the styles of champions that these guys can play that going towards the mid lane with your bans this early on in the series maybe would be a little bit of a mistake, which I think is why we are seeing these fairly targeted bans in terms of like the Riven. You've got to take that away from Bill, and then these two jungle bans on either side. Natty Nat's strongest picks and Zubak's picks getting removed as well. Senna first rotation I think makes a lot of sense, incredibly powerful on this patch, and really fits into the identity that Deadhound has built for himself.
So for me, the gamble here was with that Karma ban. They are acknowledging that they're giving away Senna, but they're saying that they have a plan for it. I actually expected to see them lock in Smolder in response to Senna. It's interesting that they didn't do that, but they know they can't give away Senna and Karma. Whatever is happening right now, it is what Ruddy were expecting to happen. It is what Ruddy have planned. So I'm interested to see where the Varus does in fact go. Does that actually become a bot lane Varus, or does it potentially become a mid lane Varus? And just very quickly on the bans, I do like the Jax ban, and I do like the Rengar ban. When it comes to Natty Nat versus Zubak, is essentially Natty Nat will pick these duelist junglers that you're not necessarily able to contest 1v1 in the jungle, so then Zubak has to wait for these kind of like early skirmishes where maybe Natty Nat isn't a part of, where maybe they're head on the map to start exploding the game, but that just stalls the game even further for Ruddy.
The Syndra coming in, that is something that I was not expecting. Like on one side you see the control mages more for Painful, Alex going for the Syndra. They have some stats on those champions. Silky Smaf, we talked about previously, the way he plays the Varus, so this could be his own redemption arc with this champion to start it off as we jump into the second phase of ban. So Veteran,
I have a stat other than Karma. Syndra's literally the only mage that Alex has played the entire split. So this is somewhat expected purely from this player. Obviously, Tom Kench does have a significant amount of counterplay here, and now the 2v2 jungle matchup is going to matter a lot. I'm looking at Jarvan in particular. Jarvan versus either of these two in the early laning phase is going to be pain for them. So one side needs to take that, or the other side needs to be banning it.
Yeah, I mean, we do also need to acknowledge this Talia can exist as a flex pick here for Zubak and Painful. If we're talking about Venom Crest maybe going back onto more damage-focused junglers, Talia fits into that role very, very nicely and is incredibly mobile on the map, so definitely something we could see there. And a Caliban, I think that's quite interesting from Alex. I wouldn't necessarily have pinned that as a champion that Painful would be going to, but the Twist of Fate makes a lot of sense. That's something that Built has gone to later on into the split, now that he's a bit more carry-focused rather than going onto the tanks. And the Olaf, again, fits into that identity as well.
Yep, and I think the Akali ban is actually for Lenny. If they're planning to lock in the Olaf right now, CC Champions top lane cease to be mattering. They're worried about a potential Akali counterpick on top lane. Jace would be an interesting one. It looks like they're not intending to go back into the Darius. So remember the last time that they did that, when it came to the teamfight portion of the game, they never really figured out how they're supposed to play it out. So they're trying to avoid that entirely here. This is a very global-based free lane composition Venom Crest have done, and what I've just described is the way that Ruddy like to play. Ruddy have evolved into a patient version of Venom Crest in the way they play out late game scenarios, but Venom Crest right now have the ability to rotate wherever they want. So this is going to be Jace mid, Gnar top, a lot more standard, but let's see how Ruddy parry that back.
Oh,
wow,
that is a lock-in on the map. That is actually going to be Olaf jungle. And this like really sucks if you're playing Talia, because you try and Seismic shove the Olaf away, he just pops the ult and he runs you down completely. That movement speed that you get doesn't matter at all as soon as you get hit by the first axe. So I'm expecting Natty Nat to try and play as super aggressive with this pick, because if you get on top of that Talia, she is just dead.
Just surprising things we haven't seen here. Both Pyke and Nocturne are still up, and if Ascena is there, those are the two champions that I'm immediately thinking about. I genuinely thought you're going to see a Ruddy angle on either of those two champions, and you'd expect those to be contested here as well. Venom Crest have gotten past this by just picking the Pyke with the composition that Pyke should normally be good into. So interesting these things haven't happened. I wonder if we'll potentially see those later down in the series.
So for the series itself, so we can start, who do you think is going to take the first game? I need your answer, like a simple name. We don't even need to analyze it. I just need a name, because Champion Select was kind of a curveball, so middle cut.
I'm going Venom Crest.
Okay, Veteran.
I mean, Venom Crest are favored by draft. but I favor Ruddy to take game 1.
I love that confidence as we toss it to the caster for the first game of the series. It's a best of 5. And remember, whoever loses the series today, it's done. The mountain is cold. And we're about to see who's going to be the king. But for that, we need the casters initialize. And Rudud, take it away.
Mountain is indeed cold, but I'm hoping the series itself is red hot stuff. I'm Initialized. I'm joined wonderfully by the one and only Rudud. How are you doing, mate?
Yeah, very well, very well. I mean, we just teased it at the top. I do think these two teams are going to go the distance. If it's anything
I
like
think so too.
Yesterday, 5 games just seems befitting. If it's anything like the NLC that we've seen from the regular split as well, it was close right up until the very end. So 5 games seems fitting, and I think that this first game is going to be a nice little teaser for us as well.
Yeah.
2 different styles of composition here between the two teams. Ruddy have opted into generally a very decent pick composition. We've got Nautilus, Varus, and Syndra. That's a very good kill one person kind of squad. And then, of course, Venom Crest on the other side. They've got a decent amount of poke as well between the Jace and Talia.
Well, we'll have to find out how they match up as we head onto the Rift for our first game of the day. Here we go, people. I hear the Rift is ready for us. And here we are once again on Summoner's Rift for the first time this evening, nonetheless. 2 incredibly different but oh so compelling stories on how these two teams got here as well. It wasn't so long ago that Ruddy Esports here only had a 1% chance in terms of remaining scenarios to even make it to playoffs at all. On the other side, Venom Crest were making an absolute name and case to be top of the damn table. They both find themselves in the lower bracket. We've got ourselves a level 1 invade. It was spotted out by the early ward, but my days, what a journey for both these teams, however different it may be on both sides of the coin. BNC decide they do not want to engage with that early 5-man invade and will instead look to put some wards down of their own.
Yeah, and of course, just a little trip down memory lane whilst we've got the time. Ruddy actually a team that have never failed to make playoffs, but always a team that have failed in playoffs. The first few times that they've been in the season or been in the NLC now for 3 splits. This is their 3rd split making playoffs. The last 2 times when they had a lot of expectations on them going into that playoff run, unfortunately fell out of the losers bracket as soon as possible. This time around, they come into the playoffs bracket with ultimately way lower expectations than we'd seen from the organization before. It'll be interesting to see whether or not they can mirror those results or maybe get something a little better this time around.
Yeah, and on the other side, Venom Crest came in with, in many ways, no expectations. They were a team promoting from Division 2, changing a couple of other players, and they came in and surprised all of us. We all fell in love with the way they were playing the game with those incredible reset snowball comps. This time around, they are looking just a little bit different. It's Zubac on a carry once again, which I'm sure will please a lot of Venom Crest fans out there, but it's not Pashy on something like the Pike, even if the Tahm Kench can be pretty oppressive when it's given some of the farm. It is a little bit of a different look nonetheless.
Yeah, I'm glad you made that stipulation there. I've seen way too many Tahm Kenches 1v1ing AD carries, even on just right. World Atlas. Like, there's a case to be made for Pashy to be definitely solo killing at least Silky Smath in the early stages of this game. But as for how the teams are going to look to operate, we touched on the fact that Ruddy, very decent pick composition. There's an element of team fight as well. We can see Big Malphite ulti into Piercing Arrow through everybody, Scatter the Weak as well. There are tools there for Ruddy, but when you compare them to the likes of a Big Gnar into everybody, the Senna DPS late game is going to be crazy.
Yeah.
Versus the very inconsistent DPS of a Poke Varus. By and large, do favour the Venom Crest composition as we get later if we're looking at those 5 versus 5s.
Yeah, I can sort of see that, of course. The problem is on the other side, Pashy's going to have their work cut out to devour all the right targets, because it's all well and good devouring the person hit by the first bit of CC. What about the second or the third? Yes, there's decent poke on both sides. I think I'd probably favour in the end the Jace, Talia, Senna, just the additional member that will make it a little bit more challenging. But we've seen what Alex on this Syndra can do past a certain point, and certainly nothing to sniff about, nor is the poke Varus. So in a lot of ways, I'm seeing some mirroring going on here in terms of the styles of how the team fights play out, even if one's got a little bit more pick and the other perhaps a little more team fight / roam.
So what you'll see actually for our junglers at the very least start off with Natinat cleared up towards his top side, but it's pathed right back down to the bot side to take this crab, recognizing, hey, my mid laner took a base and I don't have prio in the top lane. If I'm going for any crab, it's this bot one, period. He's managed to make that work, and with a Nautilus on your side, there's always a world where you can look for a gank. Just can started up proceedings. He's just going to take a tongue lash, and that'll be all.
Yeah, again, as a caster, I can, attest to the power of a good tongue lashing. Does pretty good work, does the power of the words. Zubak comes in and just throws a smite down on the cannon.
We're pushing this way, Painful.
To help his Painful Shaman. Oh, man, they've nerfed smite on minions, which does prevent that from being a steal away, but I appreciate the just roam on in.
It's effectively taking Dematerializer in the jungle, isn't it? Except managing to give your mid laner the cannon as well.
Mid laner's sanity while you do it,
Hey, sometimes it's the only way. Alex, of course, now has to try and find himself a recall. What that did for Painful was get himself a second recall. You'll notice he's actually already used the teleport because Alex had been kind of handling him in the mid lane. So that second reset allowed to come through now without Painful needing the teleport. Alex gets to go back to base. Will likely use his TP so that he loses nothing for this. Instead, sticks around and is absolutely fine.
In a shock to everyone, Venom Crest have got their jungle and support roaming together. Alex steps away from what could have been a very deadly seismic session. Zubak decides to throw out the emote, feeling a little bit sad about that one missing.
Yeah, and importantly as well, I didn't even realize this, but Alex also found that first recall, has a tier that has been stacking up now. For a little bit of time at the very least, they're going to have that Seraph's online very quickly. Just an item that I think is absolutely absurd and going to do a very good amount of work for the Syndra as we get later and later on into this matchup. For the time being, Lenny confident to step up and trade these hits with Built, but Built obviously with this Doran's Ring plus the Mana Flow Arcane Comet Shield, going to be very happy just trading away his HP and mana. Never mind.
I'm just aware. Yeah,
he just went flash.
He did, he just got taken very low, and Zubak's coming on over. How aggressive do they want to go? I guess Lenny has got the ultimate, must have used it really well before Bill could get towards it. Zubak now looking potentially for the flash and the thread volley. Flash, seismic shove, missed it. Throws down, set out the shard. Now Natty's here with the ghost, so even Zubak to go. He's burned the summoners. It's too deep, but it's all a bait in the end. Nat rolls a natural 20, and I think Lenny's in trouble now. The undertones come flying on through. He might have to burn it, I think. There's no way for him to survive otherwise. And I say that he actually just has hop, doesn't he? So I'm just forgetting the cooldown of the ability, and he gets to walk away with perhaps his tail between his legs, but his summoner's intact.
Yeah, well, a silver lining almost for what was a very ruddy-sided play. Natty Nat there on the top side was just clearing his Krugs, but as soon as a level 4 Talia flashes in front of your face, oh well, thank you very much, he says. I'll quite happily take that donation. No W, it's one of those that's definitely a difficult skill shot to land. If Zubak flashes and lands it, he's the GOAT. If not, unfortunately he gets a situation like that.
Yeah, and I think well played from Built as well to recognize that stepping forwards there and knowing he has the Olaf around gives him that ability to perhaps be that little bit more risky with how he's playing, and it works out very, very well. And it's Natty Nat with the first blood on the Olaf. It's a champion that's not as commonly seen there as it once was, really. It feels like it's going to be towards the top lane, if anywhere else, more regularly. But now I'm looking also, as we saw the comment on Built, and I began to wonder whether it might not be a tank option, and he's gone back and he's bought himself a Hex Deck alternator. Rudud, I think that's AP Malphite.
It's definitely the starts of AP Malphite. Whether this is just an extension of him trying to win out in this laning phase or not, we'll have to wait and see. Because obviously, he's gonna kind of wail on Lenny quite heavily, especially in that mini-Gnar form. Lenny has to either go for an all-in or he's just gonna get poked out. There's an option for this to just be like a pit stop, right? I'll take an alternator and I'll chill on it, and then, you know, go back to building full tank afterwards. Or it could be full AP Malphite. I don't know.
We'll keep our eyes on it. And in fairness, when you're into the Gnar, which otherwise you are eventually just going to get outscaled in that lane. You just eventually just become a bit sad. Having the ability to threat particularly... Well, exactly. If you just did mini Gnar, the stats are not high enough to enjoy that at all. So I can see the potential there, especially then when you're following up with the Syndra EQ combos into the full unleashed power, when the Varus is throwing down on top of that. The burst from the side of Ruddy gets catastrophic if you add in an AP Malphite on top of it.
Yeah, and more importantly, what if he one-shots the Senna right later on in the game?
Yeah.
That's a far more valuable target, and all of a sudden warding your flanks isn't to protect from an Aatrox that's going to be a nuisance in a team fight. It's threatening from an assassin who's going to use their face to take you off of Summoner's Rift. So a very difficult situation if it is full AP Malphite. Definitely a much more difficult champion to navigate, but ultimately more effective.
Yeah, it's just like that's that one meme, isn't it? Like corporate wants you to tell me the difference between these two pictures. On one hand, the asteroid that deleted the dinosaurs. On the other, one tanky top lane boy building AP.
They're the same picture. I cannot
that's
tell you.
That's the plan. Anyway, that's the plan. We're not quite there yet. The artist is still mid-sketching right now. We're able to see where the colours all put in.
So, quick note for our early game in terms of the jungle is obviously the first blood for Natty. Now he's already ghosted. Yeah, knows that Zubak has no flash, so you can just run him down, especially with Ragnarok ready. I like the presence of mind from Zubak just to get out of dodge as near as possible straight away. But they did trade the early Void Grubs. Oh, Alex.
Ooh. Oh no! Shadow gets him!
Whoa! He's cheating! You can't be calling for support like that!
He didn't think it was going to kill him. He didn't flash. He thought, I'm fine. He was definitely not.
Yeah, that's the combo between Turret Shot plus Senna ulti Deadhound. I mean, great presence of mind there. A, would have been looking to save his mid laner. B, finds a little snipe onto Alex as well. Almost out of nowhere, Deadhound finds himself a nice little pickup.
Because that looked like Alex, especially having burned the Unleashed Power, and with Natty now having forced out the jungle from the river, that felt like a pretty good trade to be taking, and suddenly it really, really wasn't. While they're Ruddy looking to punish because of the roams, Pashi has to flash away from the chains of corruption. Piercing arrow comes on through his painful teleports towards his bot side. Okay. There's no real way to come and join this. I think they were expecting more aggression than actually showed. They do get the Void Grubs on the other side. That will be 6 grubs for the side of Venom Crest. Whether or not they can use them perhaps remains to be seen as yet, because of course they're only conditional.
Come back
power,
to the mid lane, Painful. Do it.
Oh boy. Yeah, he's living up to his namesake. That's an undertow. He might be dragged under the water quite now, as he's now unable to be CC'd. The W won't quite land, and neither will that second undertow, but Ragnarok forces Painful away from the lane, and considering he teleported bot, he's going to lose quite a lot for that detour towards the bot lane.
Yeah, he's getting shadowed back into the lane by Zubak once again. Maybe we're going to see a second smite on a mid lane cannon in as many waves. Nevertheless, he gets in, catches the majority of that wave. He's going to be slightly split between himself and Natalia, but ultimately it's better that he gets some experience than no experience at all. Now I'm looking to see what happens on this bot side, because usually you'll see the... Wow, all right. Yeah, he has. He's just done it. He's just done it. Okay.
It's so cheap. It's only like 2,400 gold, so first item well and truly complete for the Malphite build. Can just build different, apparently.
And I love the movement speed that Seismic Shard gets you as well, because you can just dodge everything, right? It does make landing skill shots as the Gnar genuinely very difficult, but especially with the Rocket Belt now as well, you've got an extra little dash if you choose to get out of dodge with that one. Finally, we see Painful sacrifice a wave. He's going to have to go back now and get as much HP back as he can. You can already see the respect being given over with the Mercury Treads. They were a very early pickup. It's to help you out in that Syndra laning phase. Unfortunately, A, it slows down your scaling, and B, it doesn't look to have helped him out all that much, still getting the very much worse end of any trades down there.
Yeah, and of course with a bit of AP, those thunderclaps, those ground slams just hurt that bit more as built. And Lenny, especially without the Mega, needs to be more and more afraid, and those transitions over from Mega to Mini become all that more risky if you're over-shoving to try and trade on the Malphite.
The funny thing about Malphite, especially in the really early laning phase, when you go full AP, is that you're constantly... Hold on, never mind.
Zubak's here, will Unstoppable Force waiting
and he's out of there.
And Bill just styles on him. Bill's very smooth.
We thought Yone had...
trick, by the way.
We thought Yone had obscene amounts of movement. You've not seen Rocket Belt Malphite, my guy. That was certainly one of them.
Should be blue and looking like a hedgehog. This is the wrong colour scheme, Bill.
Is there a blue Malphite skin? I don't know that there is. Like
is
Glacial, I guess.
Shamrock? Yeah,
you could probably
Glacial,
do Glacial Malphite's the best way to go for it. Wow, Alex has taken this to one step further. Now, at some point in the last 2-3 seasons, they made it so mid laners wouldn't be able to do this nearly as easily. But that's how you know that you're having a good time in the mid lane, is when you feel confident to go take enemy wraps.
Yeah, exactly that. It's feeling very good. It's got a couple plays to themselves. Second Dragon about to go the way of Ruddy as well. That looks like the general trade of objectives, top side for bot side as it stands. Alex about to get jumped on, stuns him off the wall. Very nicely done. Flashes away from the seismic shove alongside the Dawning Shadow. Alex forced to use the summoner, but does get out alive.
That's 4 people effectively mid lane if we're counting the center ulti.
I think we do.
Yeah, really well evaded gank from Alex, and the fortunate thing about with the wall being sort of relatively linear means that lining up that stun is more a matter of timing as opposed to aiming. So you can just sort of throw it down the line, and 9 times out of 10, one end of the ball is going to catch the scatter one way or the other. So it's easy enough to stop the Talia from getting fully in your face. But nicely done. Yes.
Actually, might have to wait on this one because Built is once again being ganked. Zubac trying towards the top side. Doesn't get as much value as they like as a teleport because coming through Natinat with the ghost coming on through. Lenny now in a very dangerous position. Has flash but no ultimate. Gets hit with the QE and Natinat brings down the axe to claim the top laner's life.
Yeah, mid lane is starting to hemorrhage a little bit here. Alex with that TP advantage makes a play in the top side, turns it around so Venom Crest cannot help out their top side at all. In fact, give Built an even better time of things up on that top 1 versus 1.
Teleport bot now as well, because Senna was left alone on the bot side, but is now overshoved herself. Natinat needs to be a little bit wary. We can see what's going to happen. Built has ulti and a rocket
He doesn't
belt.
need it.
Here comes the boom. Waiting right now on the last embrace to finish. Use the rocket belt now. He's not even bothering with the ultimate. Trying to wait out Deadhound's flash. Now ult afterwards and slaps him into the dirt. Deadhound living up to the first part of his name.
Yeah, I mean, you don't need the Unstoppable Force there as Built. It feels good to use the Unstoppable Force. And he finds the kill onto the Senna, who, you know, rightfully tries to take some plates down in the bot side, was actually looking for the full turret, it looks like, but had slightly overextended, and that one rogue ward behind in the tri-brush gives Built the free access into the bot lane and actually to another 300 gold.
Bit of a stun now to Lenny, who needs to be a bit afraid of the unleashed power, about to try and head towards Mega, but any more of those dark spheres landing could prove problematic, so down to about 20% HP, of course. Mega will allow a little bit of that HP to come back on the transformation, but Alex quite happy to have role swapped around a little bit, and it does appear Ruddy have been okay with trading their lanes, but Zubac's coming up for a roam. Alex now in a dangerous position. Remember, no flash, and there's no teleport to save him. The CC chain is good, but the Seraph shield is ridiculous. Lenny flashes, dies.
No way!
Zubac on the other side. Dawning Shadow goes wide, and Alex just about survives. It is a 1 for none, but Alex and Zubac both desperately low.
Alex just surviving by the skin of his teeth there. The Seraph shield comes in so clutch to keep the Syndra alive. And just barely.
Right, Natinat gets hit with the last embrace, and we have to take our minds back. I was about to say before the madness started carrying, and I think I'm going to have to wait again, mate, because it looks like Ruddy are not done with trying to get more out of the jungle. No, they do back away for now. I was going to call out that Deadhound has gone for a slightly unusual Senna build. We have seen a lot of the static shiv on pretty much every AD carry, including things like Jhin and Samira, but Senna farming for 1, and 2, static shiv first item. Your thoughts, sir?
My thought is it probably, if it gives you the wave clear to do Q plus auto, then it's good. If not, then I'm not sure why we would go for that over a lethality style build. Because I know that, especially on live patch, with the nerfs, you can't Q auto the backline at level 9 now to clear them out. But
good chunk, but nothing more.
Yeah.
Oh, I think going to be some more. Here comes
very dead anyway. Unless the homies can get here.
He's got no flash but a dream right now. Where are the rest of the team? Nowhere nearby. The depth charge comes on through. He'll throw down a wallet, but there's just nothing to break. The Ragnarok comes down. It's the end of days for Lenny in the top side.
They might be able to get a good couple of turrets here, though, Venom Crest. They've heralded in the mid lane. There's nobody answering bot side. Silky's Smash under fire.
Throws out the chains of corruption. Not a huge amount to avail right now. Just begin to roam on forward, but Deadhound
way too far.
is now in a really awkward positioning. About to take loads of damage. Flashes out from the Q, gets flashed, and the dredge line goes just wide. Pashi now looking to be able to devour their support. What on earth is happening as the Herald is somehow in the fight in the jungle. Zubac now in danger. Unstoppable force onto 2. Pashi needs to devour. Does so onto the jungler of Zubac. Painful now running away. Has tried to speed away to safety. Flash on forwards into the unleashed power. And it brings down Zubac, who has nothing left to say. There's not enough in the cave for him. On the other side, Painful about to be brought to his knees. There's not enough painkillers in the world to undo this one. Good stopwatch from Scatter again! But how on earth are they still alive? Deadhound doing all the work here.
Wow.
Crest get away with it. Missile of the flash arrow. Down goes Silky Smath as well. And Ruddy go too deep as Deadhound keeps his teammates alive.
That was a 5 versus 4 in favour of Venom Crest, and yes, they managed to make it work, but it was, again, very, very tight margins. That entire time, Natty Nat was full clearing the topside jungle. Thought his team had it in his back pocket, and honestly, so did I looking at that.
I know.
Ruddy was so close to having had that fight in their hands, but Venom Crest come up in the clutch. The center healing and the nice skill shot evasion, by and large, from Venom Crest keep them alive.
That got very close to where it's still Ruddy with the gold lead right now, but Dragon has spawned and they were the ones that died first. Everyone realistically did have to go for the reset though, so it might be time for another go. Built not quite got the ultimate, but does have the teleport. There's a blast cone available, and it looks like they might be debating going on over the contest. 6,000 HP.
Natty Nat is a menace. 3-0-0. There's no way to stop him if he gets into your backline. Now he's got Smite. Now he's got a Drake in his eyes.
Looking for an undertow and secures it. Nothing to be done. The Dredge like just wide on Pashy. And they'll claim a third dragon. That's sole point now for Ruddy Esports.
It's a big pickup by Natty Nat once again. Just walks in smooth as you like. Picks up the Drake, and there you go. Sole point for Ruddy. 2k to the lead. The gold lead itself not overwhelming, but it's in all the right places, I feel. The jungle is going to be very, very telling. Natty Nat has been, again, quietly having himself a very good game, whether it's just picking up a quick kill or two onto Lenny on that top side, or whether it's, you know, farming better than the majority of the players in this game. He's picked himself up a ton of gold, has that Sundered Sky, and again, I'm looking at the ease that comes with killing an Olaf for this composition the Venom Crest have drafted. It's just not there. I think you're going to have to poke him out to begin with, and you're really relying on Zubak's Qs as your main source of fast damage. But again, that's not enough to kill an Olaf.
And it's not like the Olaf is going in alone. When we've seen Olafs fail in the past, it's either they don't have Enchanter support. Lulu Olaf is obviously a big thing for a while. Or they don't have dive buddies. You've got a Nautilus, you've got a Malphite jumping in with you. The Syndra and the Varus can follow up from miles away as well. So even if you turn everything on the Olaf, it means you're potentially ignoring so many other threats that it gets very difficult. And if Pashy's having to devour the target that Olaf is running at, then what does that mean for the Unstoppable Force, the Chains of Corruption, the Scatter the Weak? There's so many things to be afraid of, and only really one consistent way to save people who get hit by them.
But of course, coming into the game and coming into the early stages, we were anticipating at the very least that Venom Crest a composition that could scale a little bit more into the game. If we get later on, they'd be happy.
Ragnarok popped, and now actually with the resist down, maybe they can burn a Natty Nat on the other side. Just can. About to be just can't, I think, as he's been locked into the pit with nowhere to go. Down goes the Nautilus. Painful gets that kill.
Don't start up the Baron, importantly. They had got, you know, numbers around it, I thought that maybe they'd try and sniff around it, especially with the chunk onto Natty Nat to begin with, but between the poke of the Syndra and the poke of the Varus, they don't actually feel confident enough to start that one up.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think wisely so. You don't want to, you know, the game isn't completely doomed at this point. You don't want to throw it even further by giving Ruddy a three-way to the Baron.
Second item's now largely complete on both sides. Just saw the Lord Dominic's Regard built up by Deadhound. Won't even be able to deal with some of the HP stackers, and while the Malphite isn't building exactly the most HP with this build, it's still going to have more than the Senna does, so you can understand the thought process. They might be face-checking some people they shouldn't be, though. The build is there as well, so Painful Shock Blast goes a little wide. Now he's in a dangerous position, has to flash away from the Unstoppable Force, but the teleports begin to fly. Everyone here in the topside river waiting and willing to brawl. Pull away for a moment as Lenny's teleport seems to have ceased the hostilities for now.
So now TP advantage once again for Ruddy. They've been a very good team at utilizing those teleports to turn fights back in their favor that maybe shouldn't have been in the first place. But for the time being, all calm on the Western Front as just maybe see a little bit of a scuffle for the Scuttle. Not going to be the case, though.
Credit over to Painful as well, who, despite some pressure in the early laning phase, now 2-0-3, up a healthy amount of CS, has got the 2 items completed this Jace, well and truly online for all the early attention Ruddy showed that mid lane.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely a glow up from the early stage where he was getting a little bit rattled by Alex in the mid lane, but good to see that he's recovered at the very least and is now definitely a threat to contend with. Again, as we move a little bit later on into the game, our questions were more so around how easy it's going to be for Ruddy to execute this composition, and we're starting to see that a little bit more now, just because they've got not as big a front line. That Malphite, obviously, whilst lethal, definitely a lot squishier on the front line for Ruddy. So if he gets caught by some poke, gets picked off by, you know, the occasional shock blast, a little bit of damage coming through from the Talia as well, and especially if he ulties right through some Unraveled Earth, he could just one-shot himself.
I mean, exactly that. You've got to be very careful of all of that. And of course, the other thing is this is a Venom Crest that have not snowballed through mid, through jungle and support for once. This is more through actually some solid team play. It's the mid laner that is actually a lot of the gold right now for Venom Crest. It's a bit of an unusual look. They've still got to be afraid, of course, because they are down a bit of gold. They have still got to deal with the Mountain Soul. But a pick on the Silky Smith would be a good start. Trying to get the seismic shot flash on over the other side of it. The Chains of Corruption landed. Perhaps I've just cursed him. As Zubak falls down. Unstoppable Force on the other side onto Painful, who is now devoured to safety from the flash from Pashi. Trying to keep that mid laner alive. The slow from the Force, the unleashed power gets another kill. The Jace down and dead. Deadhound also down for the count as Natty Nat goes on the rampage. Ruddy, pull the trigger and find 3.
And all it costs them with a Silky Smith Flash, they'll be more than happy to take that trade with the 3 core carries of Venom Crest down. Ruddy, they're not just done with a soul. They might head to the Baron as well, take everything that they can get.
They manage everything. It was looking like Venom Crest had managed to stabilize. No, they have bloody well not. Ruddy find themselves soul, they find themselves a fight, they find themselves the Baron, and they find themselves in a monumental advantage in this game 1.
And for a play that was initiated by Venom Crest.
Hang on.
Well, they don't have the Baron yet.
No, they don't. They've been turned around, and actually the Baron not quite secure. Perhaps I spoke a little too soon. Lenny flashing away, but about to flash into the waiting arms of Natty Nat. Secure the top laner. But now a 3v5 can commence. Deadhound not quite here yet, and Ruddy, despite what looked like a pretty easy secure on the Baron, decide against it and actually leave that one alone. So maybe that's a repeat for Venom Crest, for all they did lose Soul.
Still prefer this for Ruddy, though, honestly. Remember, right, Soul is eternal. It's going to last throughout the entire game. Baron only temporary, so not necessarily a 100% guaranteed way to close out this game. And also, they turned away right there, which was the right thing to do. You don't want to get caught up against that pit with the wall, especially when Anal's walking at you with Mega very, very menacingly. They take the initiative, they walk into Lenny, force him to, you know, either go in on his own or take the death, and that's ultimately the one that they had to go with. And if that fight goes a little bit better for Ruddy, they can just simply turn back to the Baron. The power of this Mountain Soul is that they're all going to get a nice juicy shield when they try and start that one up.
Exactly that. 113 stacks now for Syndra. Very close, I think, to that final upgrade. I'm trying to remember what the final break point is off the top of my head.
It's 120.
It is 120, as I thought it was, which of course is that effectively half a death cap. It is ridiculous how much additional AP Syndra gets from that one. She's already got the execute threshold, I believe, on the R, so people need to be very, very afraid about Alex's combos now.
Yeah, one more kind of minion, one more, you know, QW on somebody. I mean, at that point, you're taking half of their health as well for the power of taking all of the splinters that you are securing. Dead even now between our mid laners, but every other metric that you can really care to think about is in favor of Ruddy. That top CS differential, great. It's not winning you the game at this stage. Built more than happy to be relegated to not particularly getting farm. You can see it almost looks like he's swapped positions with Natty Nat, who's level 15 and farming up an absolute storm. Probably has just been taking the majority of the waves because Built, he's full build at this point. He's got his Zhonya's to buy time with. He's got his rocket belt for that little extra oomph when he tries to find an engage. I mean, cool. If Built can find himself a Rabadon's amount of gold in the rest of this game, I'll be surprised.
And part of it as well, for someone like Natty, he's probably harder to pick off than perhaps Built is in the side. Like, he's gone for a squishy build. Yes, you've got your ultimate, but between Ghost and Ragnarok, Olaf is notoriously hard to deal with in a side lane. So perhaps you're right. Maybe just become split push Olaf.
Absolutely. Oh, maybe just 2v1 Olaf.
Yeah, maybe just run in and kill them all, Olaf. Maybe that's the play. Ragnarok is in, end of days, and that's a dead Zubak. Down comes the hammer blow, axing off the heads of the jungler. And Pashi tries to run with Deadhound, but how far can you take your bot laner? Is it far enough away to safety? Deadhound must run, but not in time to save the bot laner. Tarkench dead to rights as Varus finds the arrow required. Another one! Another kill! Another unleashed power! The execute comes on through, and Alex flexes his muscles. Ruddy Esports just unleashing the mid lane and barrel down to look for a game 1 victory. But they'll break off here, not wanting to push too far despite the minion wave, and decide that Baron is the wiser course of action.
10 seconds on Zubak. Maybe the wave play from the Talia is just a little too much, but Ruddy showing a little bit of restraint. Pull back to the Baron. They can use this Baron, and if we take a quick look at our objective timers elsewhere as well, the Elder is going to spawn pretty much on the end of that Baron push, so they're going to have a very easy way to default back, secure themselves an Elder, and get themselves what should be a Game 1 win wrapped on up. Solid performance from Ruddy this game, and again, it's NattyNat who just decided that Venom Crest was stepping illegally in their territory, right? The second they sniffed over the river, NattyNat pops Ghost, pops ulti, and runs down Venom Crest.
And NattyNat has not looked back since claiming that first blood, since Zubak over-indexed into trying to pick off Bill. And from then on, he has been just monstrous. This Berserker, this champion who's supposed to be looking for death, seems to be only dealing it this game. Venom Crest.
Absolutely.
They've got maybe a play around Elder Dragon, maybe an ability to stall out for center stacks, but it is miracles. It's Ruddy overstepping to try and make this happen.
And now this game for Ruddy really does play itself. They don't need to be worried about top lane. Yes, they can try and flex over there if they're really looking to push the advantage as best as possible. But they have Super Waves pushing in mid lane. They've got 5 people with Baron who can go into this bot side. And there's no real way for Venom Crest to defend against this. The second they put one person into this mid wave, they all have to concede the bot side. So that turret's going to fall instantly. It becomes a little bit easier once you come to defending the tier 3s. But again, the second that one person shows she's a bit too far away, Ruddy have got every agency, all the onus, to just engage underneath the turret, and they'll be absolutely fine with it.
And this is a poke comp from behind. It's very different when you're the ones with vision control, when you're the ones going forwards, going backwards. It's just not a lot of fun from Venom Crest, and Ruddy have got the anti-Venom this time around. Zubak just about alive after the Dawning Shadow comes on through. Alex having to play flash away from Painful, but Painful not being here means the rest of his team's in danger. Still though, it's a 1 for none right now in favor of Venom Crest, as Painful will try and reset and get back to his base. Problem is his base is in shambles. They've lost 2 inhibitors.
They have lost the second inhib, but they've got themselves a time now where they're going to be 5 versus 4 out on the map. Look at the timers once again.
Natty. He's got Ghost, but no flash or no ultimate. Actually, he does have the ultimate, but needs to be a bit aware. Remember, the Elder Dragon's about to spawn. Oh,
yeah.
Ruddy, you've gone too far. They're about to lose their jungler. Venom Crest find a moment.
Alex won't be up. NattyNat definitely not up. Venom Crest are going to have to push these waves as far as possible, try and get themselves some semblance of control on the map. And it's going to be tricky. They need to be at the Elder now if they want to take advantage of it, because Alex has TP, so he's going to be there. It's going to be really tricky for Venom Crest. Yes, Painful's got teleport to get out as well, but they're 5 versus 4. 5 versus 3 when Alex gets there. It's going to be tricky for Venom Crest, but they've got to make it work.
Built's only just recalled, so I just don't think they're going to get there in time. I think this is just Elder Dragon for Venom Crest and an overstep.
That's an Alex dip here.
Oh, maybe. I just don't know. It's about to go down. They need to be really afraid of the QEs, though. Look how low they are.
And now out.
Taken. But now what happens afterwards? The Ultimate can be into Raw. How much damage can it do? Megadar into the wall. The execute threshold comes on through. Alex has already killed off 2, though. Just can. Trying to run away. Cannot. As Painful goes to the skies and brings down the hammer, crushing the Nautilus. It's a 2 for 2 right now. The arrows from Silky's math, though, delaying the resets. Look at the minions in the base. Could still prove problematic. Built, deletes Pashy. Painful goes into the pit over the wall.
And now they've got to fight.
Has no flash. Can they get on in here? Deadhound may need to get over the wall as Built goes golden. The Last Embrace goes white flash away from Built.
Painful has no flash. He's stuck in here.
He's stuck in there, and he's losing the poke war despite the Elder Dragon. The hail of arrows makes
Built
for a
TP.
21-gun salute, and they could just end the game regardless. Oh, Venom Crest, they tried, but Ruddy still punished them on the way out of the Elder Dragon base.
TP, Deadhound, it is you at the last dance. Can you make this work with the Elder on your back? NattyNat ghosting into your base. You're just going to get walked down, my friend.
There was a brief glimpse of hope, but Ruddy laughed and shut the door regardless. The light was just death at the end of the tunnel. Ruddy win game 1.
Oh, that one delivered, I think. That's a solid start to the series.
Was fun.
Yeah. We had Elder shenanigans. We had Olaf's barreling into people. That's about as good as it gets. Ruddy taking the first game. But, you know, overall, relatively controlled lead. Not without its fair share of Ruddyisms, though.
Yeah, I think Ruddy have gotten a lot better about not doing stupid stuff in 1 versus 1 scenarios, but that push to end the game where particularly NattyNat gets caught out nearly cost them big time, but they still managed to secure the win, and we are going to cut to a break. When we come back, the desk will break down that game 1. We've got a lot more of a series to go, so let's stick around and find out how it goes, eh?
Break it down, break it down. Step on the gas, let's get out of town. We're gonna break out and have some fun. We're gonna do what you never done. Oh yeah, yeah. Come on, take your body with you. It's a money weekend. Everything we wanna, we go do. We go do. Yes, let's we go do.
Ready taking the first game with a menacing presence as well. That was an amazing one coming in from Ready. Venom Crest, they seemed a little bit lost, but let's talk about the early game and understand how it happened to begin with.
Oh, I mean, first off, top lane, built different, taken to another level. All right, I F with the AP Malphite there, okay? Like, and it definitely messed up Senna, right? Deadhound had no idea what he was building that game. We ended up seeing Static Shiv coming out as an early item from him. I think he was prepared to be going Blade of the Ruin King into LDR route, but then he accidentally reverted into Season 13 pre 10 static Shiv nerfs and was like, this is probably the route now that they're only technically 2 bruisers. I don't really know what's going on here anymore. No way, no one knew what's going on here. So I do love, I love the draft conceptually from Venom Crest, right? They were able to make really good picks with their groupings at the midpoint of the game. You could see why they have that 1,300 at 15 lead on average. But once those groupings ended up being matched by the AP Malphite and by the rest of Ruddy, it all collapsed in a very similar manner to how it did in the final game that they played in regular split against Ruddy.
So before we dive into that one, into the mid game, let's look into the first blood as you were talking about. I think it's quite important. Middle cut, guide us through this one.
I mean, I was watching this in the green with you guys, and I was screaming. This is an incredible trade from Lenny, and Built here really has nowhere to go. Yes, he's got Natty on the top side, but Lenny couldn't walk up here, but I feel like Zubak is just a little bit impatient. This is a winning play if Bill backs away, but he flashes forward onto Leah, which is the one thing that you absolutely cannot do versus an Olaf. Natty's in position to punish him and take him down. He's even able to get a little bit more damage onto Lenny as well. And the game didn't snowball massively from this point, but it did set up I think a running theme where Zubak was having a really hard time actually interacting with the comp of Ruddy. He was getting a little bit too close to them, and as soon as he overstepped, they would just punish him again and again and again.
There's definitely an urge there to get a kill now by Zubak, to get a kill on the board and start snowballing now, when you could just play this to burn Malphite TP. He has to TP if he wants anything on the wave there. And then on the next pass, even just zoning him is going to be a win, because Malphite no longer has the opportunity to just recall and teleport back into lane. But instead, there was just a fake sense of urgency there. And Olaf is like, you want to go over aggressive early in my jungle, and that's just been the story of Natty the whole split. A good, strong, skirmishing jungler. Enemy puts themselves in these positions. Natty that's like, baby, we picked for this.
And it was such a good timing and a bad timing as well for Zubak. He was not expecting that Olaf, and he just looks at him like, ooh, a piece of candy. And that's a good start for them. As you go into the second fight, or at least the second replay, which is also really important. You guys are highlighting the situation with Zubak. So guide us through this one.
Yeah, I mean, my Lord. You want to move into mid lane, you see Ruddy on vision, and then they just sort of walk on the other side of the wall, and you can't really do anything from that point. And again, it's Venom Crest trying to play the way that they've won this whole split, right? Looking for these picks, trying to get the fight started quickly, but every time it felt like Ruddy were in position to respond, and as soon as the initial burst from the shotgun goes off and Ruddy aren't dead, they get back up and they just claw after you. I think they were able to pick up 3 kills there, and that was a huge point in the game, right? It was going Ruddy favored before that point, but after that fight, they were able to pick up the Mountain Soul. They were able to move over towards the Baron as well, and whilst the game had been a little bit back and forth, I think that's when it really started to turn significantly in Ruddy's favor.
Yep, and you have to be wondering, right? You have the Talia, you have the Senna, and yet you're just grouping all of this lot in midsection against that Varus and against that Nautilus. This is not an efficient use of that composition. I was saying before we ended up going into the game, but after draft, that the draft does favor Venom Crest, but the way it's going to play out will favor Ruddy, and this is the core problem there. They're playing this as if it is a 5-man group mid-comp, but Ruddy are the guys with that AP Malphite that was just casually chunking Jace to 1/3 HP and 1 combo, that have the actual teamfight composition. If every game's going to go this, if you're not going to bother using your split map tools like this, then we need to get back into the displacement factor. The good thing about Pyke for them was that Pyke would force the enemy formation to now no longer be, as one clump. He'd stretch them thin. They were really good with these picks that stretch their opponents thin. They don't have that in this comp. If you're not going to play wide map states with this kind of composition, don't go for it at all. Go back on your laurels.
We have one additional replay, which was the glimpse of light coming in from Venom Crest. It's like the snake tries to bite back, but
this was just brutal. So Natty overstayed, bot lane had got picked just before this, but Venom Crest, they take the opportunity, they move over to the Elder. This is actually a really strong contest coming through from Alex. He's able to get a load of damage down onto Zubak, down onto Lenny, before they can really get in. He knocks out the jungler, and this is a huge ult from Lenny. When I saw this go down, I was like, okay, Venom Crest are actually able to get back into the game, but Silky Smath just able to get away before, after getting the kill with that flash over the wall. And then Venom Crest, they're just staying a little bit too long in the river, trying to get these resets coming through. Wonderful ult to interrupt from Built, and then Painful going over the wall, doesn't have enough damage to take down the Malphite. I think Deadhound, if he blast cones over, maybe there's a chance that Venom Crest can actually win out in the 2v2 here with the Elder buff, but as soon as Painful's by himself there, Silky Smath just outranges him, and the game was over from this point.
Yeah, I mean, if Deadhound explosive plants over there with absolutely no flash at all, Olaf is just going to eat him for breakfast as well. So they're stuck between a rock and a hard place, and that was also the position at the start, right? Multiple people flashless inside there, and Alex is like, I'm going to play this slow, because that's how I do things in the second half of the NLC split. I am no longer that guy that must put himself at a risky range all the time. I'm happy to play this slow. Yeah, Lenny's going to get me, but the intent there from Alex is night and day from the intent that he had in the first half of the split, and we're still continuing to see that development.
This is something that Don Jake has really praised about this guy. His teamfight IQ is very, very high. He understands where he needs to be positioning in these situations. Still has a few moments where he will overstep, but this is part of the growth that he has displayed over the course of the split. Very smart play with the hands to back it up as well.
So that's the first game coming in from Venom Crest and Ruddy. We look at Ruddy like a team that is ready to take on Venom Crest. Venom Crest seemed like they're still fumbling a little bit inside of the Rift. The champion select was quite interesting. We talked about previously in the desk that we wanted to highlight the AD carries as well. And with the first game, we need to talk about them. Veteran.
Yeah, I mean, Silky Smath actually did have a really strong first game here. Whereas on the other hand, I mean, okay, so with Deadhound, there was a point where I checked his soul count. It was 52 at 24 minutes. This guy was out of the game, and he was building Static Shiv on top of it. It was like Senna from a different generation that also wasn't quite hooked up on the mechanics yet. Reckless could never. So I don't feel like we even saw the potential for Deadhound to be in a carry position in this particular game. I think if you guys are going to end up playing Senna compositions like that, without pressuring sides and just relying on an overgrouping and praying the enemy isn't able to be there to match you, then you should put Deadhound on something a little bit more standard, or even break out stuff like the Smolder, etc., and force Ruddy to try to have to comp around that. That being said, what does counter Smolder is Drake stacking, and Ruddy did stack Drakes very efficiently this game. So I think they're prepped for all that kind of stuff. Very difficult position that Venom Crest are in here. I think it's going to be about countering Silky Smath, who typically favors these low mobility carries, by going back on towards your pick-based champions. I still don't see the Ruddy answer into a Pike composition at all, and they are leaving it open in before they ban it now.
Champion select goes through, and so far the expected. It seems like Viego and Ivan won't be part of today's match, as we have a little delay apparently, and we jump back into the desk. This gives us a little bit more time to talk about what we've seen and about the fact that Smolder was not even picked or even debated.
Yeah. But like the big thing though is that like if you're going to put Senna behind like that, or Senna's even going to put herself behind in some ways, then what comes down to it is the, I guess we could say, to carry through the phrase, team fight IQ of the AD carries. And in that regard, that's always been in Silky Smath's favor. He has some phenomenal games later on in the split, it's particularly on his Ezreal. And Ruddy are the better team when it comes to those team fight scenarios. For me, that's what this whole matchup comes down to. Venom Crest aren't as good at team fighting as Ruddy are. Ruddy are very good at stalling the game to a team fighting point, and best of fives in general are very good at putting people in the mental place where they are now going to be team fighting pretty much on repeat as a defining factor. That's why game fives are so exciting, because everybody is now going at it. Everyone is really laying it thick on each other. And so you see the best in that regard from both teams. And that should favor Ruddy every time, with Silky Smath being a massive part of why.
But I think this is why we need to see Venom Crest go back to the pick, right? Deadhound, give him Ashe or something so that you've got more engage options. If you can't get a Pike for Pajy, put him on something like Nautilus, okay? Zubak is incredible at playing these bridge-style junglers that benefit massively from getting a couple of early kills and then snowballing the game. This is what we're good at. Play for it. There's a reason that we've hyped up Venom Crest so much over the course of the split. It's because they do this one thing incredibly well, and it would be a damn shame if, after losing game one, not playing Venom Crest style. They come out game 2 and offer us something similar.
So Smolder is removed away from the table by Ready themselves, with Karma being the last one. Yet again, the Senna is available. I don't know if they're going to give the priority, but it's on Ready's side now.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, Smolder is a really key factor in towards a Senna, and that has just been removed. Interesting to see Karma banned on blue both times. Venom Crest avoided. This is a reverse of the last game, and that is a flex, by the way. I'd be more likely to see Lenny on the Jax at this point than Zubac on the Jax. Will be interesting where it goes. Almost a reverse situation of the first draft.
But we're already seeing it, right? Varus, lockdown CC. If this is a Jax into the top lane, well, it's empowering Lenny, which is cool. If it is in the jungle for Zubac, it can kind of bridge as well. So I'm glad that Venom Crest are sort of returning back to this style. We'll have to see how it develops over the course of the draft. Nautilus has been one of JustCan's favourite champions, and it pairs up excellently with the Senna as well.
Very well. And it also opens up a Frozen Heart Rush as first item, which is going to be really good into both the Varus and the Jax. With the Gragas now, that's very good into a potential dive composition with the Jax. Jax's options have suddenly become very limited with these two responses from Ruddy, and obviously the Cask can be quite good at making picks on towards low mobility champs.
Last pick from Venom Crest before we jump into the second phase of the bans. Will they reveal a little bit more from this Jax, or they'll go for the support role? That could be interesting for Posse, and there we go. It could be this Braum to follow up with the Varus, which makes me wonder, is this Varus the poke one or the full-on attack speed? That is the question as we go for the second half. No mid laner quite picked yet, so that could be the focus.
Yeah, I mean, with Varus, when I'm looking at something like a Gragas, like a Nautilus and a Senna, I feel like if I get in range to auto attack, I am already dying. So I'm kind of expecting a lethality variant to come out. I do like the Braum here. Shield has very nice interactions, can actually block the Nautilus R. I don't know if a lot of people know that. But then good against the Gragas Cask as well, though, so offers a little bit more protection for your backline.
Hopefully we're back on stream so I can get on the record for this. If I see Braum with the enemy team and I'm picking Senna, I'm like, my god, I'm going to have like 120 souls at 20 minutes. It's so free. Because this is one of the easiest champions by far to stack that stuff on. Any range, if you want to be even vaguely useful against you, it is the easiest trades on the planet for you. You can't necessarily think about this as a melee support into melee support matchup. It's a fasting Senna. You are looking at essentially a range support into a melee support matchup here, with Nautilus having an unspeakably good amount of wave clear, and the ability to reset waves is going to be easy for you at pretty much every point. So I think Senna really likes what she's going into right now. There's one particular situation where Braum is good into Senna, but you can't necessarily play for that unless you're unwilling to utilize your shield in any other circumstance.
Last ban from Ready. Oriana is already out, and Syndra to be taken away from Alex. Okay, Nico makes a lot of sense. We've seen a lot of priority on Nico yesterday on that match from Nord versus Lions Creed. Ari, Akali is still available, and Alex is a maniac with that one. Even Yone.
Braum would like that. Jax would hate that if you were to lock in an Akali right now. But Braum would like Alex to go in towards these more melee-centric picks. Both Karma and Syndra are down. He does play stuff like Jace historically, but yeah, he is going to rest on his laurels and he is going to go in towards the Akali. It does look like we're going a melee, but this could still just be a flex. You don't know whether the Jax is going jungle top yet, so it would be an assumption if they do drop it top. They likely have to just blind top again. Let's see what they do. Probably the Gragas goes top, I feel like, and the next pick's going to be jungle.
It's a really chill matchup into the Jax as well. You could just go completely non-interactive with him. Could actually flex it, though. That would be quite bold, actually.
Renekton mids? Is that what you're thinking?
I don't think it's Renekton mid. No, that's Renekton top. We've got Gragas jungle and then Akali in mid lane. Okay.
Now the question is the fifth pick on the side of Venom Crest, right? Like, what do they have here that they're willing to be putting into the Renekton? They are saying Jax is completely fine there. They're going for the Bel'Veth. This is Zubac at its best. Zubac is the reset portion of the Venom Crest pick. No. No. Never mind. It's just Wukong. I'm chatting BS. I do think right now the biggest problem is going to be for Alex, right? Whereas I think Silky Smath is in a very good position to potentially carry this game. He has decent protect on him, and yet on the flip side, I do look at Painful and I think, okay, they don't have that much to control you outside of, say, Nautilus are. You are the guy that can get that pick on towards Senna. You are that guy that can potentially deal with the Akali. You are that guy for this game. This is potentially an Alexi Painful game in one aspect, but a Silky Smath backup plan B for Ruddy in all of the others.
So we got the chip and
Fundamentally,
select, yeah?
Venom Crest are a bit more free to have agency and get plays going. I think one of the real damning elements of last game was the fact that we got to 15 minutes in and there were like 3 kills, 2 of them in favor of Ruddy. That's not the way that Venom Crest win. Venom Crest need to be fighting in order for them to succeed. They need to be coming into the mid game with a large gold lead, and you've got a lot of proactive tools here. Wukong post 6 is absolutely disgusting. I wonder, are we actually playing on the Wukong buff patch, where his passive is just insane? I'd have to double check that, but even so, right? This is a bit more what I'd want to see from Venom Crest. It's not the Belveth, it's not the Pike, it's not full reset, but I think this is a bit more of a stable version of the compositions that they were playing earlier on in the split.
So tell me, who's going to win the second game? I need those predictions right now. Does it count for the prediction leaderboard?
I think Venom Crest will lose this game, and then there will be a discussion where he says we should have just locked in Belveth, and they'll pick a reset comp for the third game. They'll win the third game, and then Ruddy will counter them in game 4 for 3-1.
So I asked prediction for this game. You predicted the series.
We got the next 3.
I
got, you got everything. So Casters, do you know the result of this game as well? Take it away.
I do actually, but I'm not allowed to share. It's kind of like, it's like the magic circle. We're not allowed to breach that kind of confidentiality with non-casters. I am sorry, guys. I really wish I could tell you, but that would ruin the surprise.
I'm not sorry. I don't want to tell you. So
Rudu's a cruel man, though. He just enjoys everyone else's like frustration. He's that kind of guy. What I do want to talk about, perhaps a little bit away from the random conversation on our mystical powers, is something that Middlecott touched on desk, and I wanted to go a little bit deeper on, which is, okay, what happens when Venom Crest don't snowball? And that's particularly true for me when we were prepping for the series, when that jungle support doesn't get rolling. They've gotten something which might be able to do that this game, but it's Pashy on the Braum. That's not a roaming support. What's going on, dude?
Well, I would love to get into that. We have got the game, though, so we'll get onto that first, and we can touch on that later on. Well, you asked me a question before we hopped in, Initialize, and I feel as though I should try to answer that.
Look, it was like that mid-anime episode break, you know. Find out next time on Dragon Ball Z. So
and then next time is one intermission.
Exactly.
99, did you scale Q level 1? This is the big check right now. It's either death or skill Q level 1.
What is going on? Natty Nat, do they? No, it is the level 1 5-man stack. Painful pops out of the bush. Don't think we're going to see any action, so I will once again ask that question about what do you think about this Venom Crest comp, especially considering it's not necessarily, again, the style of play that we've seen Venom Crest succeed on historically in the NLC.
Yeah, Venom Crest, as we've kind of highlighted throughout the season, but for this team, they've looked exceptional when Paggi has facilitated Zubac, and Zubac can carry off the back of that. Paggi is playing Braum, which is a very good matchup into the Nautilus, but is not a good Paggi champion to get out on the map and facilitate roams. He's going to have to be largely answering Just Can in any of these invade type situations, and I guess we're going to see one of them right now. I'm not sure that they spotted Venom Crest walking in here. There were no pings, and Natinat seems unwavered by this.
Okay, well, Natinat has no idea and could well end up face-checking a lot of very dangerous people. Now knows Zubac is there. What about the rest of Ruddy? Are they going to stick around? Pashy sticks there, sorry, as Venom Crest stick around, as I get the teams the wrong way around briefly. Natinat knows his red buff is gone, will not look to contest, does not want to walk into the very dark jungle. It could have proven very dangerous indeed.
I'm pretty sure Venom Crest will have lost an experience for that down on the bot side, so that it may well be very... Oh, this is awful now. Zubak gets delayed on his reset as well, so 99 is actually going to be up a ton of camps. Eyes now need to be on your solo laners for Ruddy, whether or not they can get prio and allow for a re-invade from 99 to take away that red buff on the top side of the map. And then just completely destroy the way this early game has gone for Zubak.
Painful has gone towards a dematerialize, as much I'm sure to Nymera's chagrin. He hates the demats on Ari right now. At least that whole thing about it. But it has allowed, to some extent, Painful to get the early shove here and allow potentially Zubak a little bit more safety on the Wukong, because you can see already Natty Nat has decided I am going to get my blue buff and then I'm turning straight up in Zubak's jungle. This is the pre-passive buff on Wukong. And of course, Wukong is passive, is about armor anyway, and the Gragas is full AP anyway, baby.
Yeah, and of course now Painful has got move here. That's the issue that we're going to see Natty Nat run into. If he just goes for a cheeky little invade on the Raps, then cool, but it's not just that. He wants more. He wants his own red buff.
Love to make it happen. It's just going to turn into the smite fight. Has the Q to work with. Takes it. Does win out that one now, looking to get over the wall. Everyone's coming along. Natty Nat needs to try and get over the wall, and does so before Painful looks to do anything like throw a charm and interrupt it.
All right, and now Alex can maybe throw in a little bit of interference on the way back.
Okay. Charm doesn't land. Painful needs to be a bit aware. Actually, could still look for some trades back here. The autos from Ari going to be very scary. Alex goes way too deep, trying to heal up off the passive with the fleet footwork, but the Foxfire claimed first blood. You knew what was happening. Natty Nat now fighting in the jungle. Ruddy reverting to early season shenanigans by brawling wherever they could be found. Gets one kill back. Painful has no mana. Just burned his flash. The passive order comes on through. I don't think Natty Nat quite has the burst to get anything more. So in the end, I suppose it's an extended 1-for-1. Question mark.
Question mark. Well, yeah, exclamation mark. Definitely a 1-for-1. Maybe not in the realm that we would have envisioned this. Now, the early laning phase for the Ari proving to be more than successful versus Alex this time round. Painful had a bit of a rough time of things in game number 1, but this time in this matchup, manages to come out on top. But Natty Nat gets his revenge for Zubak taking away that red buff down on the bot side. Walks in, steals away the red buff, then kills the Wukong on his Raptors. Lovely stuff from Natty Nat, and again, that aggression that we saw from him in the early season, which had been somewhat untempered there, feels way betterly controlled now.
Silky taking a lot of damage, has to be a little bit afraid of a next arrow that can come through from Deadhand, but the healing beginning to come back. Once gets hit with the Winter's Bite. Flash forward for the auto, but it's all a bait. There was a heal and a cleanse. It's all gone wrong.
Wow.
Ruddy just win out. It's Silky Smooth from Silky Smath.
And it's just Q timer. Ruddy used the Senna Q as a bait. Deadhand's thinking, okay, they've got no summoner heal. What are they going to do? Just use the Q and the ability. That's how.
Man, oh man, they had the exhaust, they had the cleanse, it's all gone wrong. The healing from that piercing darkness, and suddenly, Deadhound's down both of his summoners. He's down a death, and it looked so good, but they were all so ready to bait it out in their favor. Ruddy coming out again in the early game, a team that has been struggling in the early game. On the other side, the desk highlighted. We've highlighted it. Venom Crest are a snowball team. They win when they snowball. They are on average 1,300 gold ahead. And that is not happening right now, certainly not in the early game. What are they going to do to try and turn this around? Reminder again towards the last game these two teams played at the last day of gameplay. It was Ruddy. They came back from a crazy deficit with a Garen that was going horribly wrong in the top side versus Lenny's counter-pick Darius, and they won that game. They got to playoffs. They knocked Venom Crest effectively out of top 2 as well. It should be a grudge match, but right now Venom Crest seems to be coming out second best again.
Just haven't really had a look in so far. Really, this series, a little bit of a sniff in the mid lane from Painful early on is a good start. But now Venom Crest sniffing around this Drake. Not too confident to take this one. Natty Nat has a level lead.
Last Embrace land. Painful comes on forward, but misses the charm. The damage is filthy. Alex gets one, as Just Can gets another. Throwing Pashy into the can. The piercing darkness comes on through, and Alex, oh, of course it's Alex, gets a double kill on the Akali. Off to the races, and Ari just has nothing left to say.
Natty Nat is a phenom on the Gragas. Just E-flash Q in. Perfectly executes 2 members of Venom Crest. Yes, Alex comes in and picks them up, but it's all set up by the double body slam that connects on this Gragas. Natty Nat is taking no prisoners this game, and nor should he.
And it's just taking on from where he left off last game, right? That Olaf started off with first blood and ran rampant over a player like Zubak, who has been so good this split. But he's changed champion pool just a little bit. Went for the Talia game 1. Looked a little tepid, to be frank. He's gone for the Wukong, and yes, it takes a little while to come online, but He's down a lot of CS. He's down 2 kills early despite the early invade onto the red buff, and begin to start asking questions of Venom Crest, particularly in this early game as it's all going a little awry.
And a good game for Built as well this game, starting out very nicely with the Renekton versus Jax matchup. One of those Void Grubs importantly stolen by Natty Nat. Zubak able to use his clone to get over the wall and not end up falling for the 3rd time this game, but the quick steal away from Lenny on 1 grub is good enough for the time being. It denies at the very least 6 for Ruddy, and the way that they're going with this game, those 6 grubs could have been very, very lethal were they all to get picked up. But once again, Built having a really solid performance in this top lane up against Lenny, who again, rookie of the split from the NLC talent, and is just getting shown up by Built again.
And when we were prepping for this series, you said, look, Built has been on the weaker end of the top lane, it's probably because we've had a lot of very good top laners in the NLC this split, to be frank, but Lenny was right up there. Not just rookie of the split, but right up there as one of the best top laners in the whole league. Is falling behind here individually. Is about to be ganked. The Dominus is popped, has already blown the leap strike, and instead he finds himself in an early grave, an early dive, and Ruddy now 6-1 at 8 minutes.
Just all too easy for the Ruddy top side.
Silky, the Ignite flashing away, the Dawning Shadow keeps himself alive. No
Not
way!
again!
Not again! There's just no winning. It is silky smooth, even if it is by the skin of their teeth. He's just better.
And again, it's the cooldowns that are just being used perfectly from Ruddy. They know exactly how much they've got in them. From Silky Smith surviving the final tick of Ignite, from the shield from the Dawning Shadow, to healing up after baiting in Deadhound once again, and keeping this Varus firmly in the dirt. There's just nothing going right for Venom Crest. They've got a mid lane 1-kill advantage, but that is it.
The problem is Alex picked up a double kill in the fight around the dragon, so even that initial first blood has been undone pretty damn swiftly. It's a gold lead across the board, and once again, Natty Nat is over 1,000 gold ahead individually pre-10 minutes. Venom Crest, it's looking pretty dire. We asked what happens when they change styles. Currently, it seems to be they bleed resource in the early game. Finally, a level 6 available on Zubak, but he'll worry a Trickster away. Dragon spawning in 2 minutes. Grub's still a little ways off, so there's no real objectives to fight around. Maybe a pick onto Alex. They can land something like a Winter's Bite, but, you know, Flash and Ultimate still available. It felt a little bit, perhaps opportunistic at best there. And we back away with Ruddy up 4,000 gold, and it's not even hit double-digit time signature yet.
And the best part for Ruddy is, it's not like this composition is going to tremendously fall off late game. They're not pressured by the clock at this point. Silky Smith has got lethal tempo center in this game, working towards that Blade of the Ruin King, which Veteran had mentioned on the desk. So it's going to be a menace later on as well. This might just be a one-shot.
Oh, he says it's a phenom. It is! It actually is! Casket to casket, he's drunk under the table.
Wow. Yeah, Lichbane Gragas, in case there was any doubt, the type of build path we'd expect to see from Natty Nat, it is that full AP.
Seeing Alex here goes in on to Painful. Now needing to ult away, still the R2 available, needs to be a bit afraid. Final ult not quite there, but a flash for a 5-point strike. And Painful's down for the count. The 1v1 going well in the mid lane as well now.
And that's it. That was the one last bastion of hope that you had for Venom Crest, was that Painful might be able to salvage something in the mid lane. But Alex, having picked up those couple kills earlier on, having now the Alternator plus the Sork Shoes, has the power spike to step up to Painful and win that matchup as well.
When we were looking across these teams, when we came into the split, and Ruddy were kind of still a little bit uncoordinated, still a bit raw as a team, we all saw the mechanical prowess of individual players. That was never in doubt. The issue was the team play, the coordination, and as the split went on, the mid games got better. They played the map wider. They played the side lane so well. They played it slow and controlled. But now the early game's coming online as well. Now Venom Crest, who were supposed to be the team with the incredible team play and good snowballing, falling behind as well in the early game, and Lenny left out here to dry. Oh no, not again.
Roller Q stops his recall. Lenny, whether he's got Counter-Strike or not, Natty Nat, he's got that cask.
There's just nothing to be done. Lenny looking more like a Leroy Jenkins. A Q comes on through.
Unless...
Wait, Natty dies, flashes away before the second tower shot can come on through. And it is by the finest of margins, but Ruddy walked them with an elegance you have yet to see from them this split. Teleports towards the bot side. The cross map already being counted. How much more can Venom Crest do? The Dawning Shadow comes on through to put Deadhound low. Alex rocket belting forward. Zubac here. Now they've gone too far. Have Ruddy. We begin to praise him this time. The margins a little bit too eager. Alex still goes the other side as he dances with Painful. Silky Smath in a 1v3. Claims another.
He fancies it.
2 for 2 in a 3v4. He can keep going. Pashy lands a Winter's Bite, but he's still got himself the curse of the Black Mist to hunt for this Braum. Oh, the heart might be the strongest muscle, but it's yet to meet Senna with all those stacks. Painful. Yeah, that one's just agony.
A TP in from Built to mop up what was a fairly even fight to begin with, but swayed the way of Ruddy once again. The consistent DPS coming out from a center of all champions, and the healing as well more than keeps Ruddy afloat in that fight down on the bot side. Again, Natinat not a part of any of the skirmishes. This is the second time in as many games where we've seen Ruddy opt into an early fight, 5 versus 4 almost, where they're just about coming out on top.
And it was only a few weeks ago when Ruddy Esports had 1% of remaining scenarios of making it into playoffs. Now, against Venom Crest, one of the surprising superstars in the regular season of the league, now find themselves with a beautiful advantage. Built, maybe about to be attacked by Zubac, but Zubac, 1-4-1, running after a Renekton who just walks away from him. They look lost, Rude Dude.
They do, absolutely. And again, not to beat the dead horse, but when you've not had Paggi... that's true. Sorry. He's been beaten enough so far this game, in fairness, 0-4-2. But to be a Venom Crest roster that had so clearly been thriving around the presence of Paggi on the map, to then put him on Tom Kent's Braum for the first 2 games, 2 champions, which can, help out an AD carry, but cannot facilitate a jungle quite like the Pyke, like a Nautilus even, like a Rela Leone or anything of that ilk. Feels like Venom Crest tending toward natures that they just don't have in them.
We saw a very tight series yesterday between Nord and Lions Creed. Nord with a 2-0 start before Lions Creed turned up and made the reverse sweep happen. Johan in particular being so very, very scary. But Ruddy, again, who expected this of the team at the beginning of the split? Who expected this team to be looking as scary as they do? If they keep this up, Venom Crest might be put into a very swift early grave here in this series. Be going on to fight. There'll be Nord in the other end of the lower bracket, as Lions Creed already waiting in the finals, as I understand it.
What I like from Ruddy here as well is the way they've already changed those lane assignments, because we've got a hyper-fed Akali at this stage who beats everybody in the 1 versus 1. So why not put her in the slightly longer lane, give her an opportunity to beat out whoever goes there, be it the Akali, be it the Jax rather, be it the Ahri. The Akali's going to have their way with both of them. We've already seen in 1v1 Painful, and we know that the Akali versus Jax matchup is not one that a Jax is going to favour, especially one who's been dove twice already this game.
Couple interesting itemization choices again this time around. Stripebreaker on Built, wanting to make sure we can lock down some of these more slippery members rather than something like a Sundered Sky. And we'll have to hold on that, because over comes Venom Crest looking to try and finally make a play. It's Just
Why is Just here?
Why is he here by himself? A question for the ages. Might be a question for how long he can sign with the talent. Dawning Shadow comes on through, buys time, but not that much. The Chains of Corruption land to prevent Built from getting on in easily. Painful still Cho charges on the Spirit Rush to work with, but will manage to dodge away from the charm, and so we'll be able to survive any further recompense and rebuttal.
But look at the map.
What is going on?
Yeah, well, Alex and Natinat are taking tier 2 topside. You've got Silky Smath in the mid lane, who is completely unchecked, taking the mid tier 1. Yes, you killed off Justcan, the support for Ruddy, who, again, probably shouldn't have been down there on his own, but was, and they found a kill. But they didn't get the turret. That was able to be defended by Built, and they lost 2 turrets in the meantime. Again, even when Venom Crest are winning out on kills, they're losing out on gold.
Exactly that, and now they've got 5 grubs, 2 dragons, and what looks to be a herald. The objective game, the tower game, the kill game, it's all coming up Ruddy. South London rejoices. It'll be a trip to Morley's with all of the pocket money they saved up after this one in celebration, it feels like.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it's worth it, okay? The pressure of having gone 2-6, 2-5, 2-7 at the start of the split, having a really torrid first round robin, and then miracle running. It was a miracle run to be even in playoffs, and now they're looking to go very firmly 2-0 up in the series. You talked about the series yesterday, Initialize, and this holds a lot of the same traits of that series. Nord were manhandling Lions Creed yesterday before Lions Creed decided that they were going to turn their monitors on and start playing League of Legends. So we can't, of course, count this as a swift 2-0. You never can really in the NLC in a best-of-5 situation like this. But Ruddy, if they keep playing like this, and if Venom Crest don't make severe changes very soon, are just going to be forced out of the NLC playoffs as soon as they were put in it.
I mean, that was one of the major questions for me coming into it. It's like, okay, Venom Crest in a best-of-5. Do you have enough compositions, enough play styles in the bank available to you to win out in a best-of-5? We know you've got that one particular archetype that works so well for you. But what about other options? In the first 2 games, it's not happened. Zubak, kind of off comfort, looking pretty, you know, unimpressive so far on both the Taliyah and the Wukong. Pashi caught in lane, not managing too much, and I think we are going to have to see a bit of a drastic change back towards the things that have worked in Game 3, and maybe that'll be enough to turn the tides of the series. But as it stands, it's Ruddy in the ascendancy. Ruddy looking to book themselves a further position into playoffs, and they are very, very strongly favoured in this game. 2 items now for Alex. He's gone for a cheaper build, obviously, with the rocket belt, but still feeling very pleased indeed.
Yeah, I mean, when he's this far, I don't want to say this far ahead, because he's only 700 gold over his counterpart, but he's also taking out people like Avaris very easily. You don't need max DPS build to be able to manage Avaris in the late game, in the early game, really whenever, especially one who's 0, 4, and 3. So you've got the luxury of being able to go for this rocket belt. You also have just that extra little step so that gap closes even further. And once again, with Ruddy just feeling emboldened, they go forward.
Oh boy, Stride Breaker as well. In they go, built those, still got some backup, Silky's about to start hitting him up. There's the Starex, he's being taken pretty low. Zubak going to try and get some more. The Cask was trying to get some more down and doesn't manage too much. Flash pops from Built, but the teleport on the side from Painful makes it a relatively even summoner trade, though we will note Deadhound had to pop the cleanse as well.
Yeah, it was a really good cleanse, in fairness. Actually got away from Built's follow-up damage quite nicely. Did pop that pretty much instantly off the Ruthless Predator. But now you can see Painful really stepping his way forward rather slowly because he has to face check every single brush, whether he's doing it with a charm or the Q. Making sure that he's at the very least safe as he takes one brush.
Oh,
but maybe not another.
Empowered W comes on through. Painful gets the charm onto Alex, but watch out for the follow. Flash for the R, not quite enough for the execute, but goes back with the E and gets out from under the tower. Can't quite get the style points to kill off Painful, but that's Flash, teleport, and I believe the ult as well from Painful down for the count.
Okay, we got a lot of pretty colors. Nobody died though in the bot lane as Painful with a really good charm saves his own life. Now the third Drake of the game did go down. Ruddy unfortunately low rolling here with this chem tech, but they have got 3 Drakes all ready to go. A potential early Elder could go their way. This entire time though, Lenny up on that top side, managing to work his way through at least a couple of top minion waves. He didn't get the full turret, so you know that gold that Venom Crest would have loved to have secured for themselves. Not quite able to get picked up. And Ruddy once again, 8,000 gold in the lead, 20 minutes in. Baron now on the table with the Blade of the Ruin King Terminus Senna build. They've got enough in the tank. You'd like to think that if they find one pick, they can probably just turn to the Baron and start trying to find fights wherever they please around it.
Don't get me wrong, I was favouring Ruddy coming into the series, but I was expecting a 3-2. I wasn't expecting a 3,000 individual lead as Alex finds the 1v1. It's an assassin in the waiting for Painful, lands the charm. Will forced to ult away again, but that means not in the jungle, not in the lane, not getting any of this CS, and Alex just taking all of the opportunities they can to force this Ahri out of lane.
Initialize, hear me out. You can't win a series 3-2 if you don't lose 2 games.
Genius.
Venom Crest are they're just doing what we've asked of them, okay? That's a very big cope. A very big cope.
Oh boy, this might not be a bad start as Zubak catches out Alex recalling, flashes for the Cyclone Part 2 and does get a shutdown. But now Baron, of course, with the jungler not there having burned so much, they need to try and stop this. The Blast Cone taken on the other side. Not the fastest Baron ever, of course, because it's a Senna, who is notoriously relatively slow at this. Still continuing to do this down. Is being done healthily at the very least, but Lenny now coming on over. I've already pushed a little far. I think the Wukong's coming on down. Chains of Corruption land. Belt in danger. Needs to be pulling back now. Good cast! Patchy in danger, doing so much work. The door goes up though, and they're gonna kill on the Just Cat. Dawning Shadow, too slow. Natty now tries to pop Deadhound, fails to do though, has to flash over the wall, but has still got the extended blast going to get out to safety. And the Baron doesn't quite go right. Alex though, with the teleport available, can still do work.
It's a good job!
They get a hold of Natty Nat. How bold
And the
are they
piercing
feeling?
arrow
Baron's
takes
alive.
him down. Now they're going to have to deal with the Rift Herald. Alex is going to use this as maybe an escape, maybe an attempt on a tier 2, and maybe an attempt on Deadhound's life.
Oh, he just gets knocked out. Ruddy suddenly scrambling a bit here. Can't quite kill Painful. Patchy, sorry, but does have the assistance of Built. Will go down nonetheless, and it becomes a 1-for-1. The last embrace lands. Will not be able to get anything more right now, and Ruddy fumble in the mid-game.
Yeah, we'll take stock of that because Ruddy were just so far ahead. 8,000 gold we checked in last time. Granted, that's only gone down to 6,500. They're still very much in the lead in this game. But Venom Crest taking the appropriate steps to keep Ruddy in check. Find a pick in the bot side. They navigate the Baron fight well. Find themselves an extra kill there. And in the back half of that, a 1-for-1. That's 2 consecutive deaths now for Alex, where he's not really picked up anything for it. Might have found 1 kill during that skirmish there, but that's farm that he's not getting experience. He's not getting, for the last 2 minutes, that ahead of Carly that we talked about, certainly narrowing into the curve quite well.
Yeah, that's some unfortunate shutdowns and gold to give back over and a reprieve for Painful, who had started the game pretty well, began to fall away as some of the solo kills went against them. And as you said, Alex kind of dropping some of that CS in order to make these plays, and that's cost him a bit. I think Ruddy going to take a breather, try and slow it down, regroup. They have been good at that. So I expect to see a little bit more of the stabilization. Venom Crest, though, would love to see a little bit more of it. They'd like to punish a bit more.
And the good thing for Ruddy here is that there's very low stakes objective spawning in about 90 seconds time with that Drake spawning. If they get it, they get Soul, but the reason it's low stakes is if they lose it, it's a single Chemtech Drake going over to Venom Crest. It's not the worst case in the world, but they can very easily set themselves up around this, secure themselves a Soul once again, that game-long buff, which is going to be exceptionally useful for them. When looking at these team fights in this instance, they should be able to have a decent time of things if they can pick up that Drake Soul. And then you've got a little bit of time to work your way back up towards that Baron, try and re-navigate that topside situation, which you kind of fumbled on the last time out.
Yeah, we'll note as well, because of the way the item breakpoints have panned out as well, Venom Crest perhaps at the most even point of item parity they'll have for a little while. 2 items on their carries compared to similar on the other side could prove to be pretty valuable here if they do feel like the contest is theirs for the taking. If they do win this and they claim, say, a Baron afterwards, Venom Crest could get their way right back into it. Just don't know how willing they are to try and roll that dice. Black Cleaver just completed for Zubac as well to match parity with Natty. Now he's yet to complete the Shadow Flame on the other side.
And the way this Venom Crest composition wants to function is actually finding 1 quick pick, 1 quick kill. They've got very good burst damage between the Ahri and this Varus. It's Painful, forced to ulti very early on there. Now they're going to either have to fight on this ulti timer or concede Soul.
Change the last embrace lands.
There we go, that's
Charm
one.
onto Built. Slice straight out though, so no dice on picking off the Renekton. Just can now body blocking. Alex looking for a flank. Is on a good angle here. Ruddy therefore looking perhaps for the flank. Built throws down the dominant. Alex to the backside. Massive damage. Painful flashes away. But Alex still looking to do some damage. Deadhound dead to right. The execution comes along with Built flashes away to safety. Lenny still trying to do some work but cannot do that much. It's Silky's math continues to be a problem. The counter strike though buys time. Alex flashing out the rocket belt doing
they're all
enough
so
to keep himself
low.
alive and get Lenny. They are so low as Ingo Zubac finally gets a kill onto Just Can. And maybe, just maybe, it's a 2-for-1 right now in favor of Ruddy, but the health bars are so desperately low. Problem is, there's still the Senna here who can start healing people back up.
Yeah, Senna healing is not easy, and Alex has found some fruit as well. This is Soul, picked up by Ruddy.
Painful has Charm and ult again. Silky Smash down. That's the Senna. That's so key. Alex now having to play out inside the shadow. That Twilight Shroud doing as best they can. Painful just out of range.
No more charges.
Natty Nat flash forward from Zuba. Can't quite get the kill, but still has the crushing blow to secure it with a Nimbus strike. Now Alex in dangerous territory. Can get over the wall with the Shuriken flip and should have the blast going, so I think should be out to safety.
Soul for Ruddy. Bill also able to take that tier 2 turret in the midst of all the chaos that happened around the bot side, around that dragon. Another smite fight goes the way of Natty Nat, just hiding it from Zubac. Finds himself another soul for Ruddy. There were pings down toward the Baron. Not sure by quite who, but it's Venom Crest that are very early on hopped on into the pit. Whether this is to clear vision, whether this is to start it up with Natinat dead for 10 more seconds. Again, another tricky position for them to find themselves in. Yes, they have the numbers advantage, but there are so many high pressure threats on their way in. Bill, Alex, both of them have their ulti, and then the DPS from the center as well on its way.
Trying to play this one out, here we go, but Silky's here, no ult available, Bill gets charmed, how much damage the can Lenny do as he jumps onto the center, doing the best they can, but he's rooted in place, the last embrace, bringing Lenny so very, very low, painful, down for the count, stunned up, the solo laners as well, cannot get anything done, and this time, Ruddy win out the team fight, they are not brought down, and it's so much cleaner from them, game over, says Alex, and it feels exactly like that, they'll barrel down mid lane and try and claim an inhibitor too.
They do not need Baron to end this game, initialized 30-second death timers on everybody for Venom Crest. Game number 2 is going to go the way of Ruddy. From having 1% opportunity at getting into playoffs, they find themselves one game away from the lower bracket.
In week 3, they were 3-7. Then, from there, they have gone from strength to strength to strength. They are in playoffs, they're in the lower bracket, they've gone 2-0 against Venom Crest and Ruddy. How far can you go? It is looking oh so bright for them.
Where does it end, Initialize? 2-0 to begin with. The job's not done. Heads need to stay calm, stay level. But a 2-0 open to this best of 5 series is the best possible outcome that you could have. Game number 1 had largely measured in a couple of iffy moments. That felt even more so measured for Ruddy in that game. There was no, oh, that was a big oopsie by Natinat. Oh dear, Alex, you've had a moment there where you probably shouldn't have died. That was a lot more measured, a lot more controlled, and really terrifying as a Venom Crest fan to watch.
Venom Crest were comprehensively outplayed this game. Ruddy moved to 2-0. How quick is this series going to be? Well, that means you're going to have to go to a quick break, because I'm hoping we've got more games, but I just don't know anymore, guys.
At SteelSeries, we make the headsets, mice and keyboards that the world's best gamers win the most with. And we've been doing it since way back. It's up to you how far you go, but whatever you do, go for glory.
you cannot because your headset kinda sucks. So head on to Twitter and predict it up. It's cool, it's light, the battery lasts all night. You can chat while you cook cause it has Bluetooth. So let me introduce Still CD's Arctic Nova 7. It's wireless. Still CD's Arctic Nova 7. It has Bluetooth. Still CD's Arctic Nova 7. It's wireless. Still CD's Arctic Nova 7. Head on to Twitter and predict it up so you can win off these bad guys if you're the best in a week.
Not expecting this. Another game from Ruddy though. This caught me off guard, by the way, I'm sorry. But with this situation, it's a 2-0 match point. Ruddy, the miracle run. The miracle doesn't stop. My question is, what's happening to Venom Crest? I need answers.
Well, I mean,
you showered. You have to tell me something.
This game should have gone great. There were more kills in early game, but they just all went over to Ruddy.
Yeah, that's
probably not great for Venom Crest.
I mean, Nat picked the big guy and just sat on the enemy jungler for most of the game. Bot lane win. As you can see, Braum Senna did quite enjoy that bot lane rather a lot. They were very aggressive there. Not entirely sure about the farming Senna though. But you know, it happens. And then Alex just had his pop-off moments on Akali later on, right? He had really good outplay moments, but overall, just every single lane had some form of an outplay on their lane opponents. Ruddy were very firmly in the driver's chair in the early game. Venom Crest were the ones this time that looked like they could potentially be making a comeback, but it was a very, very short-lived one. Once these neutrals were taken down, Ruddy became much more controlled again, and they were able to take the win.
So let's begin with the Drake fight. I think it's quite relevant because you guys were talking about the early game. So might as well bring it up, Middlecott.
Yeah, and I mean, credit to Venom Crest to try and fight back and get a little bit of something here, but you've got no priority in mid. Alex is able to get the first rotation. You've been taking so much damage from the early game Cloud Drake, and then as soon as Nat finds his way in, I mean, it's just curtains for you. And whilst I think a lot of the leads that Ruddy were able to achieve in the early game were kind of coming from not necessarily individual plays, but plays where it's only like sort of one or two champions interacting. They showed here that when you do get a few more people on the screen, they are just a better team as well. And I had a lot of hope for Venom Crest coming into this game with this composition that they seemed a lot more comfortable with. But I think plays like that, I think Zubak's early pathing getting screwed with a fair bit as well, sort of put them behind, and then the bot lane 2v2s, and it was just a very difficult situation for them to come back from way too early in the game.
Ruddy do like to approach team fights from multiple angles when they come in second, and they were coming in second on most of these fights. These were mostly fights that are set up on Venom Crest terms, but when Ruddy come in at multiple angles there, they have to split up, and suddenly if you're split up, Renekton's great, Akali's great, and Senna gets a much longer fight, which this time around was to stack lethal tempo and to get as much DPS down as humanly possible. So I do think the way Ruddy approach fights is particularly good into Venom Crest if Venom Crest ever believe they can be on point first.
We're getting on a point where Ruddy is not even looking at the micro play, but also the macro play. There's a big replay for that one, Veteran. If you can guide us through the fact that, okay, Venom Crest is trying to achieve something, and Ruddy is like, we're not interested in that, let's take the other side.
Yeah, I mean, we have a lot of hard focus on towards bot lane here, but the reason that Justcan is here at all vulnerable towards a 4-man is because look at the rest of his map. You have Senna about to push mid lane. I saw you thinking about going to def bot lane here, but correctly they look to do a 2-lane play here where Alex is about to crash on tier 2 top, and now Senna can reset on tier 1 in mid lane. So even if Venom Crest do this bot play as fast as humanly possible, they will be behind on the map. They will have to reset to defend tier 2, tier 3 top long before they're able to make a crash on tier 2, tier 3 on bot side. The tier 1 tower isn't even down yet. Built's actually able to save their tempo on bot side with that. So Ruddy here are running away with the map. Now if you want to approach top side, you have to clear a bunch of vision to even get into the shallow position in jungle there as Venom Crest, whereas Ruddy, they can transfer that wherever they want. They can even set up a play there. They can do whatever they like, and you have to assume that they're anywhere there before you've actually been able to do the entire clears. But by the time you do that, by the time you know that they're not there, Ruddy have already made their play on the other side of the map, and you're behind again. From that point onwards, Venom Crest must match Ruddy on the map. They don't have a lead unless they win a fight, and Ruddy were making that very difficult for them.
And I think this is why trading and being able to trade well when you are in a deficit is actually such a highly valued skill, and it's why we praise teams like old G2 who are able to do this incredibly in situations where they were down on the map. Because if you go for that cross-map play, if you try and play away from the enemy team and your waves aren't in a good position, you just end up losing so much more than you bargained for.
Yep.
Then we get to a point where you can't even fight. They get the advantage at the beginning, in the mid. They are aware of what they need to do in the map. As you said in the beginning of the show, Veteran, they like to prolong the games and say, like, yeah, we're scaling to what we want to play. You will play our own game. And this is exactly where we can see the last team fight of this second game. This is match point, Veteran.
Yep, and which is ironic because we began like 13-3 at 12 minutes, but the game did slow down and Ruddy are still confident on that. Look here, they fixed the waves before entering the fight, which does allow them to try to set up this fight at multiple angles. Yes, all the Venom Crest on the grouping, but you have Just Can attacking from one angle, Alex on the other, and now Venom Crest must make a split decision on where they go, and they don't do it as a grouping. You have Lenny on the left side here, while Alex is still dealing with the bot side, and now Ruddy in this split situation can group wherever they like, and Venom Crest on the retreat, Alex with side as well. You can see right there Ruddy's effective strategy at splitting every single one of these fights by approaching from multiple angles, forcing a group decision by Venom Crest, and if your opponents aren't committed on that decision on which flank they want to go to, well, now you're in an isolated fight where you have all of the burst potential, and that right there is a GG for Ruddy.
Yeah, shout out Built as well, just quickly, in that last fight. Okay, he ends up tanking so much stuff, but he doesn't retreat when he ends up soaking all that damage. He goes forward, he maintains the fact that he is a threat, forces Deadhound to flash out of the back of that Baron Pit, and he was basically able to contribute nothing to that last fight, which proved to be the death knell of Venom Crest.
Remind everybody that this is lower bracket. This is, we're looking at Venom Crest and Red. This is the last opportunity for Venom Crest. And in the past few weeks, Venom Crest has not been able to fight on fair grounds with other teams. Just as you guys pointed out on the beginning of the show, it seems like everybody understood their game plan and Venom Crest is not adapting. So I understand that Ruddy is now the highlight of the match, but I want to ask you to go into the Shadow Realm, and I need to understand how Venom Crest can come back from this one. Because mental-wise, it's not on a good place. So I need to understand how Venom Crest can survive this. It's a tough one.
I actually think there's a rather simple solution here. They just slam in the Pike, they slam in the Belveth, they slam in all of these champs, and they put Deadhound back on stuff like Seraphine. Maybe even Senna can go really well with the Pike in those scenarios. You get those reset comments, because then I think those decisions in team fights that right now they are kind of struggling with become very, very easy once you have those reset champions back in and they're in that comfort zone. No team ever won Worlds by mastering multiple styles. They won by mastering one style over and over and over and over again. It is the Bruce Lee Kicks quote. All right, everybody is thinking it, but it is true, and we keep having to re-acknowledge it, split in, split out. You don't have to do everything well. You have to do one thing really well, be ahead in the book, and then it really doesn't matter because the enemy are not going to be on the same page as you, and you'll be in control of the game.
I want to look at Zubak as well. Okay, it's not necessarily stuff that he is doing by himself, but I think generally as a team, Venom Crest needs to stop trying to force jungle to end up being this massive canyon for them, because they've done it 2 games in a row kind of here, and both times they've ended up losing more than they've gained from it. So I to a certain extent, relax and play a composition that you are comfortable with. Acknowledge the fact that it will work. Let Pashi get out on map and team up with Zubak. It doesn't really feel like that's been a pairing that has really worked at all in this series so far. So do what you were doing. Do what you're doing. You know that it works, and if it doesn't in this game, then you're not going to have another opportunity to mess it up.
Another sin of first pick, Smolder being banned. This is almost a copy-paste. So what is the answer for Venom Crest? We saw that Varus previously, and okay.
No,
it's a replay.
Pike is good into this, man. Pike is good into this. Well, so long as they don't go Braum again, and I feel like they've now realized that Braum is not the play in towards Senna. then it should be good. The one advantage that you do have here is that it's going to be a farming center. You can slow that down significantly to a degree where it's just not the same champion. I did like the build that was coming out from them, though, kind of, in one way. There's one way where I don't like it, which is I still think Fleet Footwork is going to be the play. Fleet Footwork into the Lethality build was almost definitely the play that game. What they were opting to do was a lethal tempo build of Terminus, which all these hovers is making everyone excited because they want to actually get banned in the next phase. Okay. What they were doing of Senna, which I didn't think was good that game, was lethal tempo, gives you the attack speed to stack the Terminus. The Terminus makes you deceptively tanky into the burst damage of your opponents. That would be good if the enemy did have that kind of significant burst damage. This game, that could be the case. If you're going for the pike, if you're going for these reset comps, and the ability to stack those resistances and deny them the initial reset could actually be a really good play from the center. But I didn't really like that last game, because last game, those points where you think you're avoiding mitigating damage, why not just take Fleet Footwork and just be a little bit faster and also grab Edge of Night?
I'm watching at this Syndra being banned away from Alex, but I know
Top
build
lane
could go for the Akali, but...
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good aspect of Ruddy's draft, in that they have these flexes here that enable, them to be able to buffer up their midsection. What they're saying, though, on Venom Crest side is, we're not actually worried about... Sorry, they banned Braum.
Versus the Senna, which is like, give me the Braum.
It was...
They better lock in.
Maybe they're hoping that Venom Crest lock in Tarek. That is the only path I can see.
But they want Venom Crest to go pike here, is what I'm feeling like now. Otherwise, Ruddy are planning to do something on the next stage that Braum would actually be pretty good into. Maybe this will be a full melee dive composition from Ruddy, which, at that point, sure, Senna gets to stack some more souls on you, but the rest of the composition is heavily mitigated by the ability of Braum to play as a disengaged champion there. I do think, though, that they are saying, we want Alex on the Akali. We do have a plan for that. I hope that plan wasn't Braum. But removing Zed Syndra does indicate to me that they want the Akali moving into them. They want a dive comp moving into them. Let's see what they do with that. It's going to be a Leona on the bot lane. Leona versus Nautilus. What a classic.
Yeah, and I think it's something incredibly proactive here for Pashi, which is kind of what we needed from him. It's not going to be an answer. They've already got the Nautilus. That's not going anywhere weird. But it does provide a lot of damage as well to pair up with the Varus. Those 2v2 kills that were so slightly going in favor of Silky Smath and Justcan could be flipping the other way now in favor of Deadhound and Pashi. And if you're able to get a few of those on a Varus, that could be really big for you in these early stages. But it does look like we are going to be getting... probably the Gragas in the top lane, most likely. We're going to be having Natinat back on the Olaf in the jungle. And it was hovered last game, but it wasn't locked in. It is this time.
There you go, I told you.
Do or die, third game of this series. One next explosion away from elimination, and Venom Crest go back to the Belveth.
You see Olaf, duelist extraordinaire, Gragas, potential duelist extraordinaire, but also crucially disengage, the potential tankiness of the Senna. You see all of this, the burst damage from the Akali, the ability of the enemy to outfight in all positions, and you still lock in the Belveth. Venom Crest are saying, we are just comfortable on this. We need to rely on this. We were winning fights in really impossible situations last game as well. Surely, with our signature picks of Belveth, of Pike, of what have you, surely we can take a game.
So last one, apparently it could be the last one. I need your predictions, because Venom Crest can still pull a reverse sweep. We saw that yesterday with Nord and the Lion Screed, so give it to me. I look at your face, Middlecott, and I believe you're going to say ready all the way.
The thing is, if Venom Crest had locked this composition in game 2, I think we very much could be sat at an even series here, but the issue is, and you so often find this in best of fives, is the momentum is all in favor of Ruddy. Now, we talked about Venom Crest having a lot of rookies. There are a lot of rookies on this Ruddy roster as well, and they are going to be soaring at the moment in terms of the mental. And when you're feeling like that, everything's cleaner. You go for more aggressive plays, and they just end up working because the comms are all there and everyone's feeling good. So, whilst I like that Venom Crest have gone for this style of draft, I just can't say no to Ruddy right now.
40-minute game, Venom Crest win.
That's a speed run. Any percentage for veteran, and to toss it to the casters to what could be the end of the series. Thank you so much. Initialize and take it away.
Ruddy tide is rising, and Venom Crest, their hopes and dreams are very close to washing away, Dude. They've locked in a Belveth, they've gone for a reset comp finally. Is it too little too late?
No. As I said earlier on, and as we saw at the top of the show, I've predicted 5 games for this. You and I both thinking 5 games. You can't have 5 games without one team losing 2 of them. This is simply what Venom Crest had planned.
Well, we'll see whether they can do it. The most dangerous game of all is always Game 3 when you're 2-0 up. Can Ruddy ride the momentum all the way to glorious victory? Or is this the beginning of that comeback? To the Rift we go to find out. I love what Middlecart mentioned about momentum because it is so key. Ruddy full of so many rookies, so much hope and dream. We have got a level 1. One way to potentially break the momentum is to just take the flip and hope to pray for it. Nautilus could lead the way here, but this could get oh so very messy. It'll be a 4.
Early ward placed by
as Vanatti comes up.
Yeah, they've got a ward on their own entrance. Olaf, level 1, terrifying.
Prep the early burgers. Here we go. Nautilus about to face check. They find them all. The damage back is huge. Lenny with the monster's counter strike, and they're going to get the first blood. Now the resets can begin. It's only 1 kill over though, so everyone backs away. A summoner blown and just camp, but that's it. Who picked up first blood? I just didn't see.
You know, well, I think it's one of the people basing. There will be either a longsword. Yeah, okay, tier for Deadhound.
Deadhound.
Needs it, honestly. Has had a really rough series to begin with, and didn't get a chance to go back to base, actually, to spend that gold. So the 400 gold not going to be felt in the early laning phase, despite the way that this early game went for Ruddy last bot lane. It was definitely very favourable for them. That could one longsword could very well have made the difference. And he's just walked the same way. Bill's yes, gonna have his E back up again. This is kind of an unsung story almost for this top matchup, I think. But Lenny came in, obviously. A lot of people have had him as the best top laner for the split. One rookie of the split as well. Built in the same contest, but has had his way with Lenny for the first 2 games. And yes, he's had counterpick for this one as well, but might very easily do the same thing again.
Lenny has got the most solo kills in the league by a long, long way. 15 solo kills across the split over 7 weeks. The 3rd place, Alex, at 9 here in the mid lane for Ruddy, so a couple of those solo kill machines around. But Lenny, this series, frankly, has looked very, very kind of underwhelming. That's not what we expected. And yes, he's a rookie coming into playoffs. He's got the rookie of the split, but we all know playoffs is a different beast. And now up against it in game 3, could well be getting shut out of the series. Goes back to the Jacks. It's a different matchup this time around, but already the early levels kind of a little bit awkward as Built just gets to body slap him multiple times, and Gragas wishes him a Merry Christmas here in the middle of March.
And importantly as well for this matchup, Built has got Phase Rush, who just enables him to quickly slam in, Q, auto attack, and he's out, right? Like, he just walks away before Lenny really even gets a trade back. And you can see Lenny as well, Doran Shield plus Grasp of the Undying, very lane-centric open to make sure that he's at least trying to trade back, but it's just not easy in this one.
Okay, we'll finally get a counter-strike back, but Gragas, of course, has still got the ability to get the damage resist back, has got potions and biscuits galore to work with, lands another barrel, and with the counter-strike down, eats an empowered auto himself, and he's not having the greatest time. All the while, though, of course, you see Painful on the Talir, getting the shove early on, and Olaf and Belveth pathing in opposite directions. And Zubak, another one of those players we were expecting a little more from. Natty has been on the rise, been really improving from the early volatility of the split towards something significantly more.
He's just full cleared, and he's
compressive. Yeah, and oh, Lenny, you've got a flash and a dream. You've leap striked already, but the ghost is on. Throws the undertow, is hit with it. Now needs to be afraid of what happens. The counter strike comes on down, but body slap back. We'll get the slow flash with the leap strike. Could still be flash for another auto. Gets the phase rush, a final undertow, and he's dragged under the water.
And again, very disrespectful from Lenny. This is a very common timer to get ganked on. You know, the 330 top timer, as old as time almost. Olaf just full clears, walks in over the ward, and that's the nature of well, a little bit of disrespect from Lenny, and maybe a little bit also of Zubak being on the wrong side of the map, but you can't really give too much blame to Zubak there, because that is, again, a tale as old as time. The 330 gank top lane, gotta be respected.
You expect a little bit better from this guy, and it's not hard work. He just walks up and presses Ghost. He doesn't have to find his way around any wards, doesn't have to do any weird timings. It really is as simple as I've cleared all my camps and top lane's overshuffed.
Yeah, unfortunate there for Lenny, but a very wise punish once again from 99, a player who has come on leaps and bounds this split in both senses of the word. I remember one of the first games of the season was had a 0-7 and 2s in Zhao game that will stay with me for a very long time. And
it wasn't great.
And so far this series has done pretty much the inverse of that with his performance. You know, the score of his Olaf game in game number 1 escapes me, but it must have been very similar for the amount of kills that he got. A true glow up for him.
5-0-4. Again, he did die the one time, so I think it went from 5-0-4 and got in trouble as Alex. Taking a lot of damage, flashes over the seismic shove.
The level up!
Spear gets the level up! Flash from Painful. Now Zubak is here, gets the as above as below. Able to find the kill.
I don't know about that. I think Alex, if he's calculating that, then cool. But Lil Bro should have died. And that's all I'm going to say.
Already it feels a little bit better in the early game. This time last game, Ruddy were already up a few thousand gold. This time they're going to try and start up the grubs. Of course, Bel'Veth very good at starting those. Pashy out of lane and supporting Zubak. Already this looks more like the Venom Crest we've come to know.
Yeah, leave Deadhound on his island down on that bot side as level 6 is hit.
Whoa! Fast amount of damage onto Lenny. The minion aggro's proving a bit problematic. Zenith Blade goes wide, but that actually pulls Pashy and Painful off the grubs briefly. And that's actually allowing Alex to get the shove in bot side, and Silky's Mask got the wave frozen away from Deadhound, who cannot touch the wave right now.
Ah, yes. Had that bot wave not been frozen, they'd have been a lot more chilling. Unfortunately, Deadhound is in just the worst position in the world right now, and even though
Lenny
isn't active on the map, Lenny may well fall here. 99 not quite able to find an undertow with enough range. But look at the positioning of the bot side right now. Just more than happy to just sit in the tri-brush, zone out Deadhound. Step up to this wave, dude. I dare you. Like, what is he going to do?
Yeah, you just can't. That's why I just can, you just can't. You just have to sit there. And Deadhound, again, the name sometimes feels perhaps a little bit prophetic. He's been struggling to stay alive this series. And got the first blood, got the early kill, but being zoned off wave and a half there feels really rough for the Varus.
Importantly as well, he's not actually built a tier yet. You've gone for this Lethality Varus, a style that typically crutches quite heavily on that Mirror Mana power spike. That is not going to be coming in for a very long time this game, if at all. Wouldn't mind at this point just saying, okay, I'm sacking off the Mana Moon. I've waited too long. Because Varus as well, just a champion that takes forever to stack it.
Well, there's level 6 now on Silky Smash. Needs to be a little bit careful. Deadhound was hit with the last embrace. The Shield of Daybreak will do some work there to stun people up. I had to think about that one because I went Dawning Shadow in my mind. I was like, am I confusing these two abilities?
It's going to be a good test for you this game. We'll have to keep you on your toes for this one. But again, the wave just not good for Venom Crest. And now Natty Nat's here as well. Step up at your own peril, guys.
So is Zubak. There's no level 6 for Zubak, though. That means Ragnarok can come on down. It's the end of days, and the Dawning Shadow comes on through for the afterlife of Deadhound. Flash on forwards, the Seismic Shove gets something, but the exhaust comes on down. That will be Just Can falling. The additional member allows to make it. Allows to be a 1-for-1. Yes, and Deadhound's actually really low, got slowed down by the auto from Silky Smath. Ease over the wall, gets shoved back with the Seismic Shove to deny anything more from the Akali. And so in the end, it is still the even trade.
A little bit of a risky game there from Painful. Puts down the Unraveled Earth, and that is effectively job done, unless Alex wants to stun himself on entry. But throws the Seismic Shove as well, just to kind of add a little bit of insult to injury.
Does a bit, and actually the rest of Venom Crest continuing to roam together. It's when we've seen them at their best with these dangerous roam squads. Pashy out of lane again. Alex, do they have any idea what's happening? Just Can kind of also roamed out, is kind of just above the red buff, so been probably in position to defend, and it's our closest early game in a little while, Rue Dudes.
All right, ding, 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 initialize. The first big timer of this game has been hit. Zubak's level 6, the patented Venom Crest reset composition can start to take a little bit more effect. As soon as Zubak finds that first takedown, we'll be able to try and reset off of somebody, then get that attack speed, get the boost going, and maybe try and take over the fight that little bit better. Lenny.
Bill gonna get the body slam, casts him towards the tower, forced to flash away on the other side. Flash in the end. Lenny very low on mana, and with a big wave against him, Bill will have enough sustain here, I think, from his ability to drink through his cask. Yeah, Olaf is, oh boy, not again. Poor old Lenny. Never getting to play out this lane the way he wants to.
A little bit of deja vu. The Olaf's here, respectfully backs away, but is it enough?
Undertow lands will pick up the axe, but I think he's safe enough. Yeah, the leap strike and a ward gets him out to safety, but that does mean another opportunity for Bilt to get a chunk on this tower and back away.
I just have teleport. The question is, does he want to risk taking it in the face of two people? Opt into it, and I think that the slightly lower HP on Bilt definitely gives him the freedom to be able to do so. But once again, let's take a quick look at our build paths for the top lane, as Lenny again opting very heavily into this 1v1 in the top side that so far hasn't particularly yielded him too much of a reward. Gone for those Merc Treads to begin with, where Bilt is just rushing toward that Seraphs. As soon as that item gets finished and picked up, that's just a massive boost for the Gragas in the 1v1 that isn't going to be matched by Lenny for a significant amount of time.
And I do understand, right, because your other potential lane opponent is likely Alex on the Akali, who's also going to be doing heavy amounts of AP damage, so the Merc Treads to try and mitigate that somewhat early, I think do make some sense. But you're right, it does delay the first item, it delays a lot of your damage. The Archangel's now in for the side of Bilt, not, of course, transformed to the Seraphs, but it's there nice and early. Yeah, and as, of course, with having finished it, it does upgrade that little bit faster. You now get 5 stacks per spell cast instead of the 3 from when you're on the tier, so gets in a little bit faster for Bilt and really shuts down that kill threat that Lenny would look to have. Going to be relying on much later game fights now before the Jax is going to have a good time of things in this side lane. Zubak claims, I think, a lot of these grubs. I'm not quite sure how many it was, whether it was the 4
total
or the 5. We'll double check the grub score at the top of the screen, perhaps being a little off right now. I'm sure it'll get double checking. So yeah, I think it might end up being 1 stolen from each round of those, but either way, still Zubak who claims some of them, even if they can't reach that critical 5 grub break point.
And
Ward
importantly,
will spot out Just Can Alex.
For Zubak, he does now have 2 minutes where he can be aggressive with his true form, right? Every Void Grub counts for a minute as well. That was one of the questions I had for Belveth relating to Void Grubs.
Oh, really?
Does each of them help? As far as I'm aware, I may be lying on the internet, but as far as I'm aware, it's 1 minute per. So
they don't do that. No, the internet never lies. It's always very true.
Exactly. Everything I read is true. But even so, you get a little bit of time with these Void Grubs to be Truth Form Belveth and really start to have your way with anybody that you look to try and take a fight with.
Back up towards his top lane as Bilt continues to keep Lenny caught under tower. He's farming well enough, is the Jax, in fairness, away from some of the scarier moments in the lane. Still, lost a couple plates. Now needs to consider what happens if they take a bit more damage. The cast comes on through, a body slam afterwards. Cast back, can't quite get the final auto. The barrel, not enough. Can maybe roll in for a final empowered auto. And the belly slam knocks him into the dirt. Grandmaster at Arms cannot hold his drink.
It's just a sunk cost fallacy in the worst case. Lenny doesn't want to base, really, because he doesn't want to lose out on that wave. He knows he's going to get further behind, but by getting further behind, does he then lose out on more trades later on? And ultimately loses out his life, and a really well-executed dive from Bilt on that top side. 1v1, finding the solo kills up against Lenny.
Zubak on an iconic champion in the Belveth, that and the Viego so tied to this player and the way that Venom Crest have won their games, but a veteran called it out on the desk. It's going to be the easiest game to get those resets on the Belveth without kind of going down for the cost. This Senna, this Gragas, it'll be very hard to get to fast. All the front line Akali notoriously slippy, and if you do that, Olaf could play around, and a dive towards the bot side. If they go a little bit too aggressively down here, could get awkward.
And this isn't even aggressive.
Force, though.
This is walking back to your lane.
It's more from Natty, that. Okay, yeah. Actually, you have to pop the ghost. As above, so below. And actually, might be putting the Olaf below the dirt. Overcomes Painful, looking to respond. The ideas might be happening. Chains of Corruption lands. Good damage. They get Natty now. The fruit follows over onto Just Gano, flashing away. Alex coming on down, but I think it's too little and too late. And Venom and Crest respond with wonderful alacrity to claim 2 in the bot side.
Hey, maybe you were right initialized. Maybe that was a little bit too aggressive from Natty. Now, I was seeing things in a completely different realm, and unfortunately, Ruddy were not with me. Paz, you looking for
Alex could be looking for a bit more, but I think Alex showing their face makes them think twice about going for Silky's Math afterwards. And in the end, it's Venom Crest to pick up 2 and bring the game a little closer to their favour. Still down a bit of gold, but 3 kills now on the Varus. Feels oh so good for Deadhound, who has not been having the easiest of series.
Not by a long margin. It's not like Deadhound hasn't struggled, as now Lenny versus Built once again, another chapter in this story. You got that finished up Archangels now, Lenny, so that's a very difficult item to try and fight against.
Reaver we take. 1,000-odd gold for Ruddy. They got a couple grubs, but Venom Crest have more. The early dragon as well. Second spawning in about 25-odd seconds, but Painful could be in danger as Zubac attacked in his own jungle by Alex. Now Painful stepping forward away from the Dreadnought. Pashy is here. Silky Mask cleanses, but the Archangel shield does some work. Flash outside of the solar flare. Pashy in a difficult position. Do not Pashy go. Do not pick up 300 gold because Natty does that instead. Zubac now trying to dash on forwards with the Void Assault. Cannot get anything more. Actually, wait, that's Kha'Zix's ultimate. I need to remember the Q on Belveth. I'll go look that one up.
Top lane as well, continuing to skirmish. It's Built this time around, looking like he's on the worst end of things, and Lenny starting to right the ship in that top side as now Deadhound maybe in a little bit of trouble. Forces an early chain of corruption, and already bot side unable to find anything. Zubac and Deadhound as a 2-man band have been stuck together for the last couple of minutes. Not quite the duo that we're used to seeing from Venom Crest, but they were able to navigate some murky waters down there, got themselves both out to safety.
Lenny needs to be a bit afraid. There's no cask available, but Lenny kind of knows that a lot of these burst trades at this point favour the Gragas, who has been delivering painful presence all lane long. Just can alongside Natty Nat link up to claim a dragon and break that, stacking for Venom Crest. Kraken Slayer in for Silky Smath early on onto the Senna, who once again is farming. We are seeing more farming Senna than fasting in the NLC as of yet. Over towards the Herald goes Zubac, looking to claim one of their Void brethren in service of the Empress.
And now my question becomes, how well can Lenny actually deal with a side lane? It doesn't matter which solo laner, because both of them have been notoriously difficult. The Akali and the Gragas are going to be tricky situations for Lenny to find himself up against. Honestly, wouldn't even mind a second item heading towards, you know, a more of Malmortius or Wit's End, something of that vein, just to try and help him out in that 1 versus 1. I think that if we look for a side lane, that's a real avenue that Venom Crest can look to play through because of this Jax, because of how powerful he can be in a side lane. Don't know that anybody would be able to try and match as we get later and later into this game. If we're looking at 5 versus 5s, and once again, terrified as Deadhound to try and play this 5v5 out, there's an Akali of any vein is difficult to try and play up against. And Olaf as well, who's going to try and run you down. And you don't have peel for Olaf. That just doesn't exist. The question is, can you kill him before he kills you? Maybe this game, Natty Nat isn't quite as far ahead as he was the first time round we saw him on the Olaf, but still a very daunting prospect trying to take down anybody on this ruddy roster.
Silky gets to the other side of the wall just about, needs to be afraid of the seismic shove, but actually lands a wonderful last embrace into the dawning shadow, the force of flash. Solar flare stuns up Silky, but does not get anything resembling the kill. Silky gets out alive.
And again, just nice little fleet footwork from Silky Smath. That was a tricky one as he manages to dodge the seismic shove off exit from Painful's wall on
Double
in.
recap?
Terminus.
I always forget that built out of 2. I always forget that built out of 2.
It looks really funny. Oh dear.
Natty. Natty. This is a very dangerous position.
The 4v2.
Cannot be isolated or
They run
disabled
away.
right now. Gets a smite of Deadhound. They're going to start going forward. Zubac comes on over. Finally gets the knockup. Deadhound now in danger as the death charge comes on through. Alex into the backline. Down goes Varus. Nowhere to be go. Where are my legions? Scrying's the Roman Empire of Ruddy, and they bring down the traitor triple towards Alex. Lenny now trying to jump onto Built, who'll body slam away and buy some space. Should not be able to die. Zubac, I think, might have gotten somebody. No, it's a slow one to Just Can. Where are you going? You can only Void Surge so far. Alex gets in a Hex Gate and has taken an express lane to find Zubac, who just goes right back the other way. It's the return train.
Yeah, it looks good for Zubac. Unfortunately, in the grand scheme of things, they just lost 3 people for 0 in their bot side jungle. Deadhound had a big bounty on his head. That went into Alex, and all the other kills from that fight also back on this Fed. Akali hops out of the base with 6 stacks on a Dark Seal, a Lich Bane finished, and now 750 gold looming over his head. Alex once again started out the split as the savior for Ruddy. The couple of games that they were able to win were exclusively picked up off the back of this mid laner. Throughout the whole split, Ruddy have developed as a 5-man. They brought in JustCan, they brought in Wolverine. Those two pieces really changed the way this composition thrived. But at its core, Alex can still be a carry.
I got worried there for a second. I saw multiple Venom Crest members on the top, so I was like, is that the kind of thing that turns into a caster curse? You've got to be careful with the words you speak, my man. It doesn't turn and things like that, and I completely agree. I think we have all seen how good this player can be. He passed the eye test many weeks ago. It was the consistency test we had to ask questions about. He was young, he was raw, there was a lot to practice. We heard that Ruddy had picked him up by just scouting out his insane numbers. He was just such a high teamfight IQ player, and under the development, under the late addition of a coach in Wolverine, this Ruddy roster has turned not just the ship around, they've turned it into a bloody spaceship. How high can they reach? How far can they go? You have to start wondering, because Venom Crest was supposed to be right there in top 2 until the final week saw them fall down, and Ruddy might be willing to slit their throat one more time and continue to rise up the mountain of corpses it requires to be the very best in the NLC.
And once again, a bit of a history lesson for new Ruddy fans as they continue to garner a fandom. Ruddy, an organisation that in the NLC have had a tough time of things when it comes to playoffs. 2023 was not a good year for them in those playoff runs. Went into the playoffs with high expectations in both spring and summer, ended out 4th in both of those, so bottoming out of our playoff bracket. But as we head into this 2024 spring split, and honestly, very low expectations from, like we said, the 1% chance of probabilities they're never even making it to playoffs now. 5k gold up in a game where winning sends them to, at the very least, 3rd, at the very least, an improvement. Putting them in a spot
How much further
to take
can they
the fight.
go? Pashi, though, might try and get something. Lands the Zenith, maybe the turnaround. It hits onto Zubac, who now has to flash wave and Bill into the backside. Could still be in a dangerous position.
Oh, dear.
He's knocked up, taken low. Already painful's dead. Yes, they get Bill.
Alex is in there.
Carice's begin to fly for Zubac. But Alex into the backside. Eviscerates them all. The execution, as it has ever been, is perfect.
Ruddy cannot be stopped on their journey through the NLC. Drake secured, fight secured in the bot side river, and yes, they may well have found themselves 1 kill, Venom Crest. They finally take down Built, but it comes at a mammoth cost. Another couple kills for Alex. Natty Nat running a rampage. Drake as well. How about a Baron? What can't they get?
Well, that becomes a question, doesn't it? Because the rest of the teams in the NLC have to sit up and take notice. You cannot ignore them. You cannot laugh at them anymore. The jokes, the memes, the banter, it's all tied down with a full helping of raw skill. Baron begins to go down to 1200. Stylen taken away. No chance for Venom Crest to get in there. And they are now 8,000 or so gold ahead and ready and willing to break this game and this series over their knee.
And just the smallest ray of sunshine for Venom Crest, taking the pity prize of the tier 1 turret in the mid lane. But Ruddy have surpassed expectations of nearly everybody on our desk for this series. I think only Aragon predicting the clean 3-0 sweep. But with a solid performance in game 1, an even better one in game number 2, and game number 3 really shows no sign of wavering. It was a slightly slower start for them, but they managed to put this thing largely to bed. Just the final dotting of the I's and crossing of the T's. Couple tier 2 turrets to still take down. Venom Crest, what have they got left in their locker? Their season hanging in the balance. One final game to try and prove that they've got something. They've got quintessential Venom Crest picks with the Zubac Belveth, but even that doesn't seem enough to take Ruddy out.
What a demoralizing, frustrating end of the split it will be for Venom Crest, coming in with all those lack of expectations as well on that roster. They were actually maybe getting a shove back onto Alex, who continues to taunt and play and toy. Venom Crest perhaps about to have their hearts broken. You know what it means to be toyed with. Lenny hopping away, the rookie of the split. Being an unfortunately rookie playoff performance as well. Not been his normally imperious self this series, and Venom Crest, as we've kind of been alluding to, came in with no expectations and then blew us all away. What a split they had to fall short in the last week, to fall short in the first round of playoffs, to fall out
There
with
we
no
go.
dreams of anything more.
Flash
maybe a
cleanse.
last gasp, maybe an omen. Silky Smash trying to dodge away, gets out of the seismic shove. Dawning Shadow across them all as Alex is here again, dominating once more. Pashi does not have anywhere left to go, is used as a taxi into the backside as Natty runs rampant. The Berserker rampages their way to a full team ace. Ruddy can break the base and maybe take even more.
With a range of picks, he is goated at the sticks. It's Ruddy Alex that will send them to the lower bracket final, a date with Nord. Baron at their back, Death Timers on their side. Ruddy, they've handed themselves a series victory.
At the very least, the inhibitors are theirs for the taking. They take one, they take the other tower, and now onto that second inhibitor. How far do they go? They decide the Hex Gate and a broken base is enough. They'll come back for the kill a little later.
Split the win. I think they could have taken it if they'd have pushed their limits, but that's not what Ruddy have been about in this past back half of the split. They've been very controlled, very measured, and if they didn't know for 100% they could end, this is absolutely the right way to go about it. Don't need to go throwing the game for a chance at a sub 25-minute victory. More than happy for them to take things a little bit slower with 2 inhibitors down. The game plays itself. Yes, there's a Drake spawning in 1 minute 20, but if you just walk 5 people up to that top side, you can quite happily seed that Drake. Wait for the super minions bot lane, wait for the super minions mid lane. The second Venom Crest try and answer either you or the super minions. You make a play elsewhere. Ruddy with the final now stretch, looking to send themselves onto the next stage.
This is looking like the last moments of the series. Venom Crest, their backs against the wall. Snakes normally more deadly at that point, but it feels like they've been defanged this series. Ruddy have had the antidote all along, and Venom Crest unable to grow outside of their impressive early performances, unable to expand beyond what worked for them in the regular season. Yes, Pashi got out of lane, but was ineffective. Zubac as well, so normally good at finding those snowballs, finding those resets, is down once again. Herculean amounts of gold to his opposite number, Natty Nat. Monstrous in this game, monstrous in this series.
And Silky Smath as well, once again, quietly with a very solid performance.
Yes!
2 times he should have died, but dodges out on seismic shoves, which crucially keep him alive. And on this Senna's 1-0-13, it might not be the most glorious AD carry scoreline, but you can tell that he's had impact on this game. He's been at the right places at the right time, and whether if he hasn't, Dawning Shadow is there to help him out as well. Now a little bit of time for Ruddy here, whilst Natty Nat takes himself that second, third Drake it will be for Ruddy. Put themselves to Soul Point as an absolute fail-safe.
Yeah.
But if this game is still going in 5 minutes, I mean, you start to question what Ruddy have been doing.
Well, yeah, and the thing is, even if it does get a bit dicey as the game goes on, you've got a Senna at 3 items, and yes, it's farming, but we'll still get souls as the game goes on, guys.
Look at the items that she's got with that gold as well.
Yes!
Like, Infinity Edge Senna is no joke, the way that they just clock you with like a single auto attack every single time. They can work their way towards 100 stacks. You're bordering on 100% crit chance at that point with the Eye Edge plus the Kraken Slayer, so every auto attack gonna feel like just a massive truck hitting you around the back of the head.
Got Nakali at 3 items and a 10-sack Dark Seal. You've got a 3.5 item Olaf, a 3-item Gragas. And dwindling hopes for Venom Crest. Ruddy, they're waiting, they're breathing, they're waiting for that last Baron to spawn. It's under a minute until that one turns up on the Rift. And that may well be the final battlefield, a last gasp from Venom Crest to try and find any way back into the game. But at this point, all you have left are mistakes from Ruddy. That's the only thing you can prey on, because any proactive play you make at this point, it's a losing proposition you feel at this point.
Yeah, and as long as Ruddy just stick as 5, they should be fine. Now looking for that final fight, it feels like.
They into the red side jungle, maybe they get him over the soul.
They got Silky Smath.
The Senna! That's not a bad start. Maybe they can make something happen. The damage back is good. They're gonna get built as well. Maybe we speak too soon. Alex is finally here, but the damage is done, surely. But wait, Natty Nat, monstrous! Alex, more so! It's Leviathan Behemoth straight out of the stories. They are too much to take down. There is no hero with a magical sword. They lose everything. Wait! Above, so below! A shutdown! And despite it all, the Empress of the Void has more to say about this.
And that might be enough to save the game here for Venom Crest. It's a stall tactic at best. Zubac looks for Just Can.
Oh no. Oh, Zubac is too far. No, wait. Another reset. Can surely do some more. But the low health healing. It's a win. But you cannot slap hard enough. And finally it turns it into a 4v4. Even at its very best, Venom Crest can't come out with a clean win.
But given the context of the game initialize, Venom Crest will more than happily take that. They will happily take a fight where Natty Nat deals 8,000 damage on an Olaf and decides, yeah, my Akali's dead. I'll start soloing the Baron. Why not?
Losing HP. And now he's gaining HP because Silky's there. Begins to heal himself up with a tough it up. I think it was a stirring spot as well, actually. I do apologize. We'll get some Hex Gates over, and it got a bit ugly. It wasn't very clean in the jungle. Happened once or twice this series, in fairness. But Ruddy, in the end, still make it work. They scrap and brawl and find themselves the Baron regardless. And Venom Crest, once again, even their best gasps, their last efforts don't result in anything more than a few kills. Objectives yet to be claimed by them.
And would it be Ruddy if it went a little bit of playing to the fans? Give them a little bit more of a show, for Christ's sake. They've got the fandom out, and they've called the night done in 3 games. It's not particularly showman-like of them. Give them a good fight in the final match. Why not? Let's find a little bit extra before we close this one and put it to bed. The 3 inhibitors have respawned for Venom Crest, and whilst they are down 12,000 gold, Silky Smith has no cleanse. There's a world where if they can find the center once again, maybe, just maybe, they can replicate an even fight and stall the game that little bit longer. Fear is at this point, yes, you can burn all the stuff onto the center. Alex is still just running rampant in these team fights. If you have no answer for him, you have no answer for the game.
In this particular gladiatorial showdown, it was supposed to be a close affair, and instead it has been a rout. I think Don Jake will take on the visage of Russell Crowe just fine. Are you not entertained? I suspect the Ruddy fans are more than satisfied with a performance like this. It's the Venom Crest fans that will be feeling a little out of sorts, a little shell-shocked to be taken apart so comprehensively. Inhibitors back under siege. They did respawn, but how much longer do they get to stay alive again? With Baron to their names and only a single Nexus turret, Venom Crest, what on earth do you have left to say? Any final punches, any final surprises? And engage on in, but the Dawning Shadow comes across. Build survives for now, and he just won't go down. A last drink in favor of Venom Crest. A double kill to Silky Smith. Alex goes golden. A game over emotes, and they do it. They continue. All those weeks ago, the Ruddy faithful prayed for a miracle, and it has been delivered unto them. They continue up the mountain.
People wanted to know what would happen if they didn't win. I guess we will never know. It is another Ruddy victory that comes out swinging 3-0 in this series. You said it at the end best there, Initialize. Comprehensive a win over Venom Crest.
I think that is one of the things for me that has most impressed. We have been well and truly excited by the trajectory we saw Ruddy on, the upward curve that they showed as a comprehensive team, yes, but the individual just superiority from a lot of these players is so incredible to watch. But that's enough from us. From the rest of South London, I feel at this point it's a Ruddy up. We'll see you after the break.
At SteelSeries, we make the headsets, mice and keyboards that the world's best gamers win the most with. And we've been doing it since way back. It's up to you how far you go, but whatever you do, go for glory.
Miracle won't stop as Ruddy takes down Venom Crest 3-0. What an interesting story they're building up. How can you say yeah with that veteran?
What? I said yeah. I predicted
you
them
said
to win the
yeah.
whole
It's
game.
just acknowledging, like, come on, bro, you don't need to jump down this
Like
sofa
what?
for
I
that.
just said yes. I'm sorry. I was not. No, Archron, you're wrong. All right, Venom Crest actually just won the whole series on my screen. What else?
40 minutes. They clawed it back in game 3, mate.
True. It would have taken them another 10 minutes to win that thing. Double
So,
inhibs were down.
At this
super
point, I think
early
we could
on.
just look into the game, into the cities itself, and just highlight what we've seen from Ruddy and expectation to what we can see on the next week as well versus Nord.
I mean, you first. Go for it.
Okay. I mean, so for Ruddy, this was a continuation of the growth that we've been seeing over the course of the split. I think that Natty played exceptionally throughout this whole series. Some of the best stuff that we've seen from him. Alex was super consistent. Silky Smath was incredible. But I think Built as well. I think the player on Ruddy who I think has struggled more than anyone on this team, he was absolutely doing bits to like Lenny, and let's not forget Lenny is our rookie of the split. Okay, this guy was a legitimate force in top lane, and Built really just took him to town in this series.
Well, I do know we have an interview ready with Godo that is waiting for this one after the 0-3. Welcome to the interview, Godo. Obviously, it's not the result you were looking for, but I need to understand what was happening through the champion select at the beginning of this. Do you think it had any fault, or was it inside of the rift itself?
I think I would say that for the first game was hard draft wise. I think we didn't really saw coming the Olaf jungle, and overall there was kind of like a stressed atmosphere. So like to adapt and stuff, like it was a bit hard to really try to see everything that was coming from. During the first draft at least, and for the next game it's kind of just what happened in game, and we didn't really play our game, and yeah.
That's a big question that I have. Through the final part, the final stretch of the split, it looked like Venom Crest was caught off hand, that people understood how to play against him, and it seemed like Venom Crest was having some difficulties adapting into the gameplay of other people. What was the game plan coming into this series, and do you believe the mental was already shaken before you started playing versus Ruddy?
I think before we started, no, it was fine. I think we kind of recovered from the 0-2 week that we did. But overall, yes, like I mean, the second part of the split was really. I mean, we kind of had to like try to redo other stuff that we didn't really wanted to play at first. So we kind of had to switch our playstyle. I think during the playoffs, like after the end of the split, the regular split, we wanted to like go back to what we knew the best, which was kind of being proactive with the mid jungle and stuff. But it's something that is pretty obvious to see, and to like just kind of counter. So I guess we kind of just lacked of options coming in the last week of the split, I guess.
It's the end of the road, but what can you say about the entire project and the run itself? You caught pretty much everyone off guard. Everybody started hyping Venom Crest. It's still a beautiful image at the end of the split. So what can you tell me and the fans as well?
I mean, I think overall it's still like I mean, it's a win. It's a good situation from what we started with. The project was really low budget. We started with full rookies because I mean, it was rookies, but we knew that we could help them grow up. So I think on this aspect, like the players managed to learn a lot and get experience from this. So I think it's pretty good. And I mean, yeah, the result, like we could see each other go further. So it's raging a bit, but I mean, that's kind of part of the game. So happens, I guess.
It is what happens at the end of the day. Well, congratulations to all the work you brought into the NLC Spring Split. I hope to see you again, who knows? And best of luck until we meet again.
Yep, that's thanks, I guess. Yeah.
It's the end of the road for Venom Crest, but just the start for the miracle on Ruddy. And now that we've done with this, I know we're still going to talk with someone from Ruddy. I'm not going to spoil it. I'm just going to say we're still going to have an interview with Ruddy, but we do have a lot of replays, and we want you to look into this third and last match because it seems like they're undefeated and they look so clean as well.
Yeah. And I think the first replay that we got, I think, highlights some of the good stuff, which we have from Venom Crest when we sort of finally got this reset-based composition. Don't know if we are going to have the replay, but overall it was very, very clean series from Ruddy. I don't think that, obviously I predicted them to go 3-1. I thought the Venom Crest would be able to get a game in there, but it really just dominant from Ruddy in a fashion that I think even people that expected them to go 3-0 wouldn't have expected it to be like this.
Exactly. If Venom Crest were ever going to win a game, it would probably be through lanes and in a kind of snowball fashion, or just through sheer force of will. And they were never really given a good opening in the early phases of the game to be able to get that from Ruddy. Ruddy adhered to some very basic principles to make sure that they always had at least some kind of de facto numbers advantage in any lane at any point, that they could respond to any play at any point that their opponents made. And honestly, the reason they had to do that is because Venom Crest was so good at the beginning of the split in playing this very aggressive, somewhat binary, but that's still a good thing, play style that it forced teams like Ruddy to level up. Imagine a split without Venom Crest, where Lions Creed also had their terrible opening, where Natives had all of their internal struggles. Where all this was happening, Ruddy could have maybe limped their way into playoffs as is, but they were forced to improve, forced to take steps to get to the position they're in because of how good Venom Crest were. They tried to teach their players how to play League, but honestly, they've taught the entire league to level up.
It's a Super Saiyan story where you have to be defeated in order to become stronger. That's exactly what Ruddy brought in. And let's brought in the person from Ruddy. It's Don Jake. Get ready for what's about to happen.
Hello.
I know something is ready, so do it.
I mean, I don't know. I'm just feeling a little bit freaky today, to be fair. Just feeling. I'm not gonna get my tongue out, but just feeling a bit freaky. I'd like to thank Deadhound personally. Even though Ramadan has started, he still doesn't want to play Fasting Center. So Ramadan Mubarak to you, my friend. And thank you for helping us enjoy a massive iftar with a very bountiful 3-0 today. We really appreciate you, man. Thank you, brother Zubak, as well, for being the candle in the dark that lights our countenance. And, you are the sacrament that we drink from. So we appreciate you, Venom Crest, for allowing us to absorb your energy as we move on to the next round of playoffs.
Okay, that was actually lighter than I thought. So tell me something, Jake. What changed throughout the split? Because it was a good start, then it was a rough one, and Light was brought up into your team. So tell me what you feel happened.
I feel like there's just a switch that's been activated halfway through the split. We just turned freaky mode on, and now it's just, Ruddy up, go wank. Like, it's just every game. Wolverine came in, obviously, as the coach. He's had a major impact on the development of the players as well. I don't know. I know there's a vote going on Twitter, but I think anyone that doesn't think Nat is the MVP of this series is smoking. This is what a performance from him. Just completely shut down the enemy jungler every single game.
One thing I wanted to ask you is, I know it was a tight schedule, bringing in the coach. You talked about it multiple times on interviews, but don't you think it's time to allow your coach to sleep eventually? I mean, he kind of needs it.
No, so we believe in very unfavorable labor conditions for our workers. Underpaid and overworked is very much the motto at Ruddy Esports. It's the esports model after all, as everyone knows. But in all seriousness, I talked on this, we did there's an interview segment thing coming out with Middlecourt soon, and I'm not sure if it will be included, but I just want to say this, that guy's not joking when he says he's a couple $100 from being homeless. The reason he's in here is because that guy has such intense hunger. He's an absolute asset to the team in every way. Funny story, when we got Wolverine in, I wanted to interview him for the position, and he said, I'm going to be homeless for the next few days, so I actually can't take the interview with you for a few days. And I had to wait to interview him to get the job. And since then, I had such immense belief, and I didn't even know if he was going to be that good. My thing was just your story is just, and the way in which he conducts himself, and is just so unabashedly ashamed to bring his philosophy forward. I was just I'm willing and open to the inexorable fate of whether you're going to be good or not. I just want to see you do your thing. And he's come in, he's shaped our team, just completely running circles around every draft. I think it's just incredible. massive shout out to him. That guy's he's a complete savant. He's been a massive asset to us. Also, like everyone involved in the team is working so hard at the moment. Like Bill massively stepped up for playoffs today. Solo killed. I mean, the guys, the false idol that you guys nominated to Rookie of the Split, which should have gone to Alex. But you know, these things happen. That's what we do to false idols at Ruddy. We burn them. You know, in the grand old tradition. And he was burned at the stake today by Bill, unfortunately. Natty massively stepped up. Alex is always good. Silky's always good in the background as well. And, you know, we're through to the next round. Hopefully conclude the miracle run.
So to continue that run, there was a comment, I don't know if you saw that one, from Kasing itself on the interview.
Yeah, and I saw.
Yeah, you saw that one. So how do you feel when Kasing, such a big particle of NLC and even League of Legends itself, saying, I'm waiting for you, Reddy?
I think he's been waiting for us for a long time. You know, like Kasing, one of my earliest inspirations in League, like being the first League player to be from like playing a major league. Obviously, like he's Ruddy through and through. He probably should have played for us at some point, but you know, who cares? Yeah, excited to see you, Ray. Seeing you soon, mate. Hopefully.
This one is just for you, Jake. We've seen you, and I've seen you. I've worked with you face to face. I've seen you come from nothing, building something from nothing that people didn't believe at all, that thought it was a joke. And you told me face to face that you wanted to prove that you can start off with no C factor, you know, by knowing people, just by working hard and believing in people and bringing different aspect to esports that some people don't believe in, which is friendship and actually believing in people that work with you without being a snake. You told me that face to face. How does it feel getting so close to EMA?
I mean, it feels wonderful. Like, you know, hard work pays off. I think, you know, I'm one of those people where the journey is always difficult. I have summit syndrome. You know, you climb to the next rung and you don't necessarily reap the rewards of it emotionally, but we just keep moving. And I'm moving for other people now, not just myself. I think that's what keeps me going at the moment. It's true. We want to do something different. And I mean, that is reflected in the fans today. Go and watch the VOD. Like anyone that's been watching today is just 99% of us just flooding the chat every single second. And that's on the back of giving something, being an org that people have something to believe in. And I mean, as much as I'm seen as kind of a villain because I tell people to get off their ass and shake things up, you can see it works now. Like you can call us a gimmick org, or people always saying, oh, you're just a content org, you can't back up the results. We're third now. And, you know, we haven't made it yet, but doing better and better and better, and it should be a wake-up call to every other org. Like, don't just look at me as like the gimmick guy that just, you know, makes jokes and has fans. This is the way you should be running your team, is developing fan bases and having something outside of that. So, you know, maybe wake up and, you know, hopefully we can shake them up a little bit.
Let's see what happens next week, Jake. Congratulations and best of luck.
Peace and love to all the fans. Love you guys.
There you go.
He's done it. Well, nearly done it.
Yeah, nearly done it. One last obstacle. Nord, who are famous for Nord time. But Ruddy are very, very good at Nord time now. I'd call it Ruddy time, if anything. And I do think it is going to be Ruddy's time in the next round, and it will be them going through towards the MEA Masters.
But do you believe it's going to be as easy, or do you think it's going to be to the last nail on a 3-2, regardless of what happens? Nord or Ruddy, 3-2?
I mean, bot lane's going to be the really interesting one there, right? Because it's going to be Romeo v Justcan, because Romeo's being a big part of how any play kind of gets initiated by Nord. And so for me, it's going to become about how you do the control on the 2v2 bot side. But really interested in seeing that. Or Alex could just face roll the entire enemy team on like a Kali or something like that again. You know, there's always that possibility.
But you got to do that against Varshi, who I think is one of the few other players in the league that has been willing to pull out stuff like the Akali and go for these aggressive plays too. So I think, yeah, it's going to be an absolute banger matchup.
Let's take a look at what Ruddy is capable of as soon as we get through these replays on the third and last match of the day. Starting off with 13 minutes with, let's just go in.
Yeah, so this was actually one of the positive plays that we saw from Venom Crest, actually. And it was finally the reset-based composition almost working. It's not quite as online as it could have been here, but you see how good Venom Crest are when they are able to go one by one up against the enemy team, and they pick themselves up a couple kills here, which is better than most plays we've been seeing from them coming out of the early game. It wasn't really enough to build anything solid from. But I think it's important that we acknowledge that, yes, this was a 3-0 for Ruddy, and yes, this was a very dominant series, but the body of work that Venom Crest have put out over the course of the entire split should be respected for what it is, a damn good body of work.
We still have more. I was waiting for Veteran to take in, but that's exactly it. Venom Crest still has a lot of potential, still has a lot of talent, but it's at the end Ruddy just demolishing as soon as they get those winning conditions. I do believe the next one is going to be for the 3 kills out of a sudden Veteran, where well, Ruddy is ready.
Yep, Ruddy is Ruddy indeed, and the big thing about Ruddy is their ability to respond to all of these fights that have been happening, because most of the times that we're looking at it here, Venom Crest is ahead on towards the groupings, but look, Alex coming in from the side again, Silky Smath coming in late, so loads of cooldowns are being burned before the primary carries are even touching the fight. That is the patience of Ruddy that we've seen around the map being utilized in towards a team fight. They don't feel the need to go in until they do see these critical cooldowns come down. And then when they do go in, my lord, they're coming in from everywhere. The sky is falling, and suddenly Venom Crest, who were ahead on the grouping there, they were fully grouped in that jungle as a 5-man at the start of that fight. They've been split and taken apart by the Ruddy War Machine.
And we have the last one, which is, it's not the last fight, but it's a summary of what they can do as soon as they get their winning condition. This is middle cut.
It's just over here. And do you know what? Great, Venom Crest, you're trying to force something absolutely fantastic. Spoiler alert, it doesn't work at all. Silky Smath is able to dodge away from absolutely anything. And it's a similar situation to the last fight. You burn everything and you've got nothing left for when the damage dealers turn up. Natty just running under the tower. Alex getting kills. Just kind of like forgets that he's tanking tower and just ends up dying at the end. But it was Ruddy evisceration from that point.
And the big thing that I really do want to point out is that in all these plays, these groupings are only available because Ruddy take into account every wave before they ever go for these groupings. Like in that position there, all waves in a really good position for Ruddy to already be looking for a group. The enemy is the one that is forced to have to make a play now because they're losing economy and they're losing map control the longer that the game stays like this. And so Ruddy can respond. The enemy does have to fight. The game is in Ruddy's hands no matter what happens here. If both just stare at each other, Ruddy is winning over time. This forces a decision, and it allows Ruddy to have all the comfort in the play.
So they move on with the road, and meanwhile Venom Crest are forced away from the show. So let's see the bracket as it stands, because at the end of the day it's going to be Ruddy facing off Nord on the next match on next Wednesday, and then we have a little bit of time to allow the winner of that one to prepare himself versus Lion's Creed. We are just waiting, because Singh told us he's waiting for Ruddy, but Nord still has a big shot because Nord almost won versus Lion's Creed on a clean sweep until the Lions just woke up and showed us why they're the king of the jungle. On the Nord versus Ruddy matchup, I need predictions. I just need numbers. This is not your predictions. This is not official. I just need, like, out of the blue.
I don't want to jinx it. I don't want to say what I want to say because I've got a number in mind, I've got a team in mind, I've got a scoreline, but I feel like if I say it, it will unmanifest itself and no longer come to be. So, Archerum, I'm shutting up.
I'm not going to give you a number.
Yeah.
I mean, I do think Ruddy are going to probably take this one away. I do think you're probably going to get in the first game probably Silky Smath MVP, in the second game Natty MVP, and in the third game Alex MVP. And then I won't say if I think there'll be any more games. But yeah, potentially. I think they're 3 wins. That's what the MVPs are going to be. I'm not going to say who I think Nords are going to be for now, or how many I think Nord will get. But that would be my predictions. It'll be Ruddy win overall. Those will be the 3 that you're voting on for the MVP at the end of it. I definitely think bot lane is going to become a major factor, and you could end up having the argument that Silky Smath should have all 3 MVPs.
So you already know who's going to be the MVP for the next matchup, but what about today? It's your opportunity to head onto Twitter and vote on who you think should win this one. Nat as the jungler, Silky Smath as the AD carry with lethal tempo on the Senna, or Alex just being smooth with the Akali. We talked about it. Akali should be banned. Well, there's a lot of champions for Alex, so I don't even think it's the Akali. It's just way too smooth with that one. I know you love the Akali middle cut because you get on the effecties transition, but yeah, that's pretty much it. So, without allowing you guys to talk, Give me predictions. Give me. I want to see what happened. Aragon. Oh gosh. Oh gosh.
Oh, I don't like it when
4-4,
someone
I'll
who isn't
take it.
me does well in the predictions. It's just really not nice.
Very interesting set of prediction on the hit brain over there, though. He thought it would be a straight
Yeah,
Venom
no,
Crest
I feel
sweep.
like he has been aggressively incorrect there, but has still somewhat saved himself from having like the imperfect day.
I mean, so everyone understands, we have 12 points overall that we can allocate to any one of these predictions. It is interesting that Foxdrop was more confident that Venom Crest would win the first game than he was that Ruddy would win the series. So this does indicate to me that there was a lot of Venom Crest favorability coming in. Like, even Middlecott here was more confident about Ruddy winning the first game than he was about Ruddy winning the whole series. Only 2 points on the series there. And as a result, I am now hot on his heels.
Wait, I'm up into third.
Yeah, well, you got the perfect day yesterday. They gave you double points, no?
If you got a perfect
baby.
day, you explode.
Oh, the late game scaling. It's not Nord time. It's not Ruddy time. It's Middlecott time.
But is it even possible to catch up?
Oh, yes. No. Yes.
If there's a bad...
Well, if they have, like, negative day and you have a perfect day, you could actually immediately...
It's gonna happen.
It explodes out of a sudden. It's 24 points, so yeah.
I'm just really glad I'm not on the right-hand side of the leaderboard anymore, okay? I'm gonna take the W's where I could get them.
We've gone the opposite, by the way. Last year, it was if you had a lead, it was basically impossible to lose the lead. Now, it's like, now you've actually created one of the most cursed and explosive systems I've ever seen in my life.
Yep.
Holy Lord.
Yeah, I like it. I like it.
Well, what I do like is the fact that you back at home are willing and capable of winning this beautiful headset.
It says communist, no?
Wait, what?
I'm not the only one seeing
Community!
Oh my God.
Community! Community! So predict the winner and the correct score of the series, and the perfect prediction will take home an Arctic Nova 7 headset. I don't know if you know, there's a jingle. I heard it's wireless. I heard it has Bluetooth. You
Allegedly.
can use it. Yeah, I mean, I use the cable just because I want to show people that you can still use the cable while I use a Bluetooth outside of the transmission. I'm just saying this. But yeah, this is the Arctic Nova 7 headset. This is amazing, by the way. We're using this one, and if you don't want this, I don't know what's wrong with you. Just head on to Twitter, put in your predictions, and win this beautiful one. And Middlecott veteran, final words of the day.
Ready up.
Go wank.
That's it. Are you back at home? It was lovely. It was lovely to have you all here. Wish you the best. I'll see you next week. And keep climbing. I'm so confused.
Break it down, break it down. Step on the gas, let's get out of town. We're gonna break out and have some fun. We're gonna do what you never done. Oh yeah, yeah. Come on, take your body with you. It's a money weekend. Everything we wanna, we go do. We go do. It's leisure, we go do.
Tries to buy some time for Lenny with a fake seal that might just do it for the game. A double kill for Passy. Pike drags them all into the dark, dark waters. And it's all but over for the crying. Johan runs away.
A little bit of time being bought, but it's not going to be enough. Surely flashes away, gets on out of them, will burn down eventually, but Agony Pain goes forward and gets taken down. Ruddy are doing it. They find an ace. Mountain Soul for Ruddy, and here comes the Ezreal. Turret has already been able to take out the enemy support, but the damage from Ruddy is too much. Silky smash through the left line side. There's too many people here for you to handle. Stay alive before Romeo finds the re-engage. It's to the multi-man counter-strike. The shockwave, too little, too late for Lightside as it's a double for Nile.